Chapter 798. After completely recovering, Night Sorrow continued to move forward. Currently, he could see the towering heaven-ceiling hall, but it was very blurry. It was still very far away. The space protective chi shield cut forward, and the nothingness protective chi shield melted forward. Yishang kept getting closer to the center of Hao Tian City. 2 hours later, Night Sorrow felt a change. The intensity of the spatial turbulence had decreased. This was a good sign. Night Sorrow continued to move forward. After another 2 hours, the spatial turbulence had completely disappeared. At this time, night fell. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and smashed the spacetime pagoda into the ground. Then, he entered the pagoda. Night Sorrow, this place is extraordinary. I feel a suppression. The suppression comes from the center of the city. It's hard to say what's going on. Little Kong communicated with Night Sorrow. The first ancient sacred city. It's hard to predict what's going on. Let's go steadily. If there's danger, I'll use the spatial fissure and directly enter the spatial turbulence. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he began to cultivate. After an intense day of fighting, he was now improving his cultivation and calming his emotions. Yin Shi's heart also felt more at ease. After a day, Night Sorrow was fine. This meant that the problem was not big. He had survived what he needed to. After resting for a while, Night Sorrow walked out of the spacetime pagoda at dawn. Dead City. What entered Yishang's eyes was a ghost town that had been eroded by the passage of time. The buildings were all dilapidated, and the area behind Yishang was empty because everything had been torn apart by the spatial turbulence. Night Sorrow slowly walked forward. Although he knew that there was still a distance to the center of the city, Night Sorrow did not want to fly. He came to Clear Sky City to investigate, so he could not miss anything. Night Sorrow walked slowly in the city. The chilly wind in the air made him feel uncomfortable. He felt that the operation of his soul was affected. When he looked up, he found that there were remnant souls in the wind. They were unconscious remnant souls that were growling. After that, Night Sorrow tried to activate his Heavenly Void Pearl. The Heavenly Void Pearl shone with a purple light. It lit up Night Sorrow's godly sea and forced the haze out of his mind. Lingering spirit Night Sorrow knew that these remnant souls were very strong when they were alive, but for some reason, they had lost their consciousness. Walking in the city, Night Sorrow saw skeletons and weapons that could no longer be used due to the erosion of time. Night Sorrow knew that these were weapons that were below rank 5. If they were spirit weapons, then they would not have been eroded by time. There were also some broken storage rings and some scattered spirit stones. They had already turned pale and no longer contained any energy. Night Sorrow continued to walk through the city. Looking at the broken tiles, broken beams, and dilapidated skeletons, Night Sorrow's heart was very heavy. All of this told Night Sorrow about the tragedy of the war. After traveling 1,000 miles, Night Sorrow rested. He found that as he moved forward, the traces of the spatial storm were getting smaller and smaller. However, more and more people died in battle. Night Sorrow still did not see any resources. It seemed that there was nothing other than skeletons. He felt that this should not be the case. With so many people dying in battle, it was impossible for there to be no resources. Night Sorrow continued to move forward and investigate. However, the reality was still the same. Some of the weapons looked very domineering, but when he touched them, they turned to dust. This situation made Night Sorrow understand. He felt that the weapons just now were spirit weapons, but their spirit chi had been sucked away. Cool. Night Sorrow then began to fly forward. All the weapons and spirit stones' energy had been sucked away. This was definitely not a coincidence. No matter how much he investigated, he would not find anything. Supreme Sky City was just too big. It was 7 or 8 times the size of Sky Bearing City, Supreme Clarity City, and Dongxian City. Night Sorrow quickly flew for 4 hours before arriving at the center of the city. After landing, Night Sorrow saw an energy barrier emitting light. There were many corpses around the energy barrier. They were like moths flying into a flame. The surroundings were full of skeletons. In the middle of the energy barrier was a large hall that reached the clouds. There were 3 shining words in the hall: Heaven Sealing Hall. Looking at the energy barrier, Night Sorrow did not know what to do. This was because he could feel the power of the energy barrier. After standing in front of the energy barrier and pondering for a while, Night Sorrow circulated the energy of the myriad Tao Tome to protect himself. After that, he propped up the Nihility protective chi barrier and reached out to touch the energy barrier. When Night Sorrow's arm touched the energy barrier, the energy on the energy barrier circulated and instantly wrapped around Night Sorrow's body. However, it withdrew a moment later. Night Sorrow did not understand what was going on. This was because that powerful and incomparably terrifying energy barrier did not harm him. Night Sorrow's arm was now within the energy of the energy shield. Then, Night Sorrow took a step forward, and half of his body entered the energy of the energy shield. After sensing it again and confirming that the energy barrier did not harm him, Night Sorrow entered the energy barrier. Then, he crossed several meters of energy and entered the energy barrier. Turning around, Night Sorrow looked at the energy barrier that did not have any effect. He was a little dazed. He was sure that this energy barrier was very strong. It would not have any difficulty killing a venerable or even a saint. However, it did not make things difficult for him. Night Sorrow touched the energy barrier again and found that this terrifying energy barrier did not care about him at all. It did not have any intention of responding to him. Young man, the energy barrier was built with the 9 regions origin energy as the foundation. Naturally, it will not harm the people of the 9 regions world. A voice entered Night Sorrow's ears, followed by a sigh. Who is hiding? Come out. Night Sorrow roared with the reincarnation spear in his hand. Fly forward. After flying for 100 miles, you will see me. The voice rang in Night Sorrow's ears again. Night Sorrow calmed down and felt that this voice made sense. This terrifying energy barrier did not harm him, which naturally meant that it recognized him as a person of the 9 regions world. This reason was very reasonable. Then, Night Sorrow flew forward and arrived at the Heaven Sealing Great Hall in a moment. The Heaven Sealing Great Hall gave Night Sorrow an oppressive aura. At this moment, Night Sorrow felt that he was very small, like a grain of sand in the vast ocean. He felt like he was looking up at the sky. Night Sorrow circulated the energy of the myriad Tao Tome and straightened his body. He did not like the feeling of being unable to stand straight. At this moment, a figure appeared 30 feet in front of Night Sorrow. It was a middle-aged man in a white robe who was sitting cross-legged. The middle-aged man had shoulder-length hair and his eyes were filled with the vicissitudes of life. At this moment, he was sizing up Night Sorrow. Young man of the 9 regions world, not bad. For 10,000 years, I have hoped to meet the people of the 9 regions world. I was also worried about meeting the people of the 9 regions world. Today, I still have to face them. The middle-aged man's voice entered Night Sorrow's ears, but his lips did not move. Chapter 799. There's no need to panic or be surprised. What you saw was a soul clone supported by a strand of my soul. There's not much time left, so I'll tell you the details and what you need to do, said the middle-aged man to Night Sorrow. While Night Sorrow was still in a daze, the middle-aged man began to tell him some things that no one knew. The middle-aged man was the Clear Sky Sacred King, who had been the city lord of Clear Sky City 10,000 years ago. However, he had fallen in the Godseal battle. That battle had been particularly tragic, and the flames of war had spread throughout the 9 regions. A peak expert from another world had pierced through the 9 regions world, shattering it. The 9 regions world had been pierced through because that expert had wanted to collect the 9 regions world's origins. The 9 regions world's origins had been shattered into 10 pieces. 9 of them had flown to the 9 continents, while the other had been collected by that expert. The result of the 9 regions world being pierced through was chaotic space. If it wasn't dealt with, the 9 regions world would be swallowed by the chaotic space. At that time, the Central Continent Saint King and Clear Sky Saint King were fighting side by side in Clear Sky City. Together, they used all of their cultivation and used a great method to move Clear Sky City to the area where the 9-domain world was pierced, suppressing the spatial turbulence. After moving Clear Sky City, the Central Plains Sacred King had died, and Clear Sky Sacred King's vitality had been greatly damaged. In order to stabilize the suppression, Clear Sky Sacred King had used his essence, blood and spiritual strength to set up the 1000 Derivation Grand Formation to seal the shattered space. At the same time, he had also set up an energy barrier with the 9 regions world's origins as its core. The 9 regions world's origins energy barrier was the core of the 1000 Derivation Grand Formation, the Heaven Sealing Palace. Senior, what do you need me to do? Night Sorrow was filled with admiration for the Clear Sky Sacred King. It could be said that he had fallen to such a state because of the 9 regions world, and only a strand of his soul remained. Clear Sky City has appeared. That means the suppression is no longer stable. We need to stabilize the suppression. We need the 9 regions world's people to work hard, said Clear Sky Sacred King to Night Sorrow. I came here to know about this. This is my destiny. Tell me. As long as I can do something for the 9 regions world, I'll pay any price. Night Sorrow sighed. He knew that if he wanted to stabilize the suppression, he would have to pay a huge price. However, as a citizen of the 9 territories, he could not avoid it. Is life okay? Clear Sky Saint King's voice entered Night Sorrow's ears. Haha, although I have many regrets, and although I feel that life has just begun, since this is my fate, I will accept it. Night Sorrow nodded. Ha, with someone like you from the 9 regions, it was worth it for us 3 Saint Kings to fight to the death. Young man, you did not disappoint me, the Clear Sky Saint King said. My abilities are limited. I can't compare to Senior, but I won't run away from what I should do and what I should bear, Night Sorrow said. You won't lose your life. The reason why the 1000 Derivation Great Formation isn't stable is because my soul can't hold on any longer. It's about to disperse. I can't control and protect this great formation anymore. Since you're here, you'll replace me. If you give up something, you'll gain something. You'll definitely gain something from this decision, said Hao Tian Saint loudly. Clear Sky Saint King then told Night Sorrow that as long as Night Sorrow cultivated a spiritual clone, he could go to the Heaven Sealing Palace to guard it. The downside was that Night Sorrow's spiritual clone would never be able to leave the Heaven Sealing Palace. That was a loss, but the gain was even greater. As long as Night Sorrow's spiritual clone remained in the Heaven Sealing Palace, it would never die. In other words, even if my true body dies, this clone won't die. Night Sorrow was startled. That's right, I can't do that because I'm just a strand of my soul, not a soul clone. But you can do it, and that's not even the most heaven-defying part. The most heaven-defying part is that you left some essence blood for the Heaven-Sealing Great Hall to refine with your soul clone. Your soul clone is no different from your original body. It can even be said that if your soul is strong enough, you can cultivate a soul clone. Hao Tian Saint King's words stunned Yishang. You can do that? Night Sorrow was shocked. That's because there's a limit to cultivating a spiritual clone. Otherwise, you could rely on your true body to continuously cultivate spiritual clones, said Clear Sky Saint King enviously as he looked at Night Sorrow. Then why didn't Senior do that before you died? Asked Night Sorrow. It wasn't in any danger before, so how could it be obedient? Now that it knows the 9 regions are in danger of being destroyed, it knows how to cooperate, said Clear Sky Saint King. You still dare to speak ill of me? It's your incompetence that led to this situation. A mighty voice rang out, shaking Yishan so much that he had to take 2 steps back before he could stabilize himself. Hashtag the Tnet, item spirit. Night Sorrow was shocked. No, the Heaven Sealing Palace is a special way for the 9 regions' essences to manifest themselves. Just now, the 9 regions' essences were reprimanding me. But since my soul is about to dissipate, it's fine if I'm reprimanded, said Clear Sky Saint King. I've cultivated a spiritual clone before, but it's still far from forming. I don't know when it'll form. If it's too late, then I can only enter with my true body. If I can't leave, then so be it, said Night Sorrow as he looked at the ice silk bag on his waist. Even if you haven't cultivated it, there's still time. Now, do as I say. Take out a container and release some essence blood. Throw the medium that contains your spiritual clone into it. Then, you don't have to worry about it, said Clear Sky Saint King to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow took out a spirit jade pillar and cut off a section. Then, he waved his reincarnation spear and made a deeper container. Then, he slashed his left wrist with the reincarnation spear. Night Sorrow's attack only left a white mark on his left wrist. What is going on with you? Your essence energy has soared into the clouds. Your body is much stronger than my subordinate, the Fist Emperor, Li Feng. Sacred King Clear Sky, who was observing Yi Shang, noticed that there was something extraordinary about Yi Shang's body. Yes, I cultivate my body. Night Sorrow held the reincarnation spear and poured all his energy into it. Then, he slashed his left wrist again. This time, a wound opened and Night Sorrow's blood flowed into the jade container. At this time, Night Sorrow's blood was red with traces of gold. It was very different from ordinary blood. Even the blood from the five-clawed pterosaur's heart couldn't be compared to his blood. After a while, a lot of Night Sorrow's blood was stored in the jade container. Looking at his blood, Night Sorrow untied the ice silk bag on his waist. Then, he took out the void Dao stone that contained his spiritual clone and looked at Clear Sky Saint King. Don't hesitate. Quickly put it in, urged Clear Sky Saint King. Night Sorrow nodded and put the void Dao stone into the jade container. Then, he took 2 steps back. Chapter 800. Alright. Even if this king's remnant soul dissipates now, this spatial hole suppression won't be a problem. Now it's up to you, said the Clear Sky Sacred King. You don't need time? Asked Night Sorrow. The heaven sealing hall will help you deal with it. The broken region will also be firmly suppressed. If there's anything else you don't understand, you can ask, said the Clear Sky Sacred King. I want to know who attacked our 9 regions world, and what their goal is. Night Sorrow took out a spirit jade stool and sat down. This is a long story, and it might be very stressful for you. Take your time to digest it, said the Clear Sky Sacred King. In the vast starry sky, there were 3,000 small worlds. Whether they were destroyed or born, they were all fated. Each world was on a different level. The 9 regions world was an ordinary world. Of course, it didn't have the qualifications to be called a world. 7 Look at Z, a chapter P. The 9 regions world was a subsidiary world of the Profound Heaven world. The Profound Heaven world was thousands of times larger than the 9 regions world. The Profound Heaven world had hundreds of subsidiary worlds like the 9 regions world. 50,000 years ago, the 9 regions world had still been a primitive world. Because of a huge battle in the Profound Heaven world, several sects and families had been defeated. The ancestors of those sects and families had broken through the world barrier and come to the 9 regions world to live. But no matter how they developed, they could never catch up to the Profound Heaven world. And the enemies of those sects and families had treated the 9 regions world as a place to raise materials. Every once in a while, they would carry out a massacre and take away the saint crystals of the 9 regions world's cultivators, using them as resources to raise their descendants. This period of time was 10,000 years. Every 10,000 years, there would be a massacre. The last time the enemy had come, they had discovered that the 9 regions world source was still intact. It was a greater threat to them, so they had sent out even stronger experts to destroy the 9 regions world source. There was a great war 10,000 years ago. That means it won't be long before they start killing again. Night Sorrow's face was filled with shock. Yes, the time is near, but it is hard to say exactly when. Right now, all we can do is stabilize the 9 regions world. If someone with great luck can refine the space origin or the small world's core, they can repair this hole in space. Then, the 9 regions world will have a chance to unite again. However, this is just a theory, Clear Sky Saint King said to Night Sorrow. I entered a minor world and obtained its core, but I was unable to refine it, said Night Sorrow. What did you say? You have the world's origin. The Clear Sky Saint King stood up, his eyes filled with shock. Yes, show me. Night Sorrow roared, and used all his energy to activate his heavenly fate jewel. After this period of hard work, Night Sorrow was just barely able to activate his heavenly fate jewel. Following Night Sorrow's activation, the heavenly fate jewel appeared between his eyebrows. It revolved once before returning to Night Sorrow's divine sea. The void attribute is actually a supreme attribute. There's hope for our 9 regions world. Clear Sky Saint King's body trembled with excitement. Senior, I don't know when I'll be able to refine it, said Night Sorrow. Don't worry. You're a mid-level venerable right now. Once you reach the Saint Realm, you'll definitely be able to refine it. At that time, you'll be able to control a world and fuse it with the heavenly fate jewel. Then you'll be the ruler of the 9 regions world, an existence with supreme law energy. If they want to descend, that's a joke, laughed the Clear Sky Saint King. At this moment, Night Sorrow sensed some spatial fluctuations. Night Sorrow even felt joy. That was the joy of the 9 regions world's origin. Brat, your karmic luck is really domineering. However, being able to pass through a spatial storm with just a mid-level venerable proves your strength, said the Clear Sky Saint King. It really isn't easy to talk about this. Originally, I was planning on coming to Clear Sky City to look for opportunities, to find a cultivation technique inheritance, and to get a title in the Heaven Sealing Palace. Who would have thought I'd meet Senior and learn so much, said Night Sorrow. If you want an inheritance, I have it. Later, my inheritance will be yours, said the Clear Sky Saint King. I'm really lacking a cultivation technique, because my current chi cultivation technique can only reach the saint level. After that, I don't have any more, said Night Sorrow. That's not a problem. My Clear Sky scripture can cultivate chi to the peak of the king realm. However, I don't have a body tempering inheritance. Back then, my subordinate, the Fist Emperor, Li Feng, cultivated the myriad Dao treasured tome. It was a secret tome that caused a storm of blood in the profound heaven world. However, after Li Feng died in battle, the secret tome is no longer available, said the Clear Sky Saint King. I'm currently cultivating the myriad Dao treasured tome. This myriad Dao treasured tome is the inheritance of the Fist Emperor, Li Feng, said Night Sorrow in surprise. You're cultivating the myriad Dao treasured tome. That's not right. Back then, Li Feng's cultivation base was higher than yours, but his body wasn't as strong as yours, said the Clear Sky Saint King. Night Sorrow told the Clear Sky Saint King that he had grasped the power of Desolates and that the myriad Dao treasured tome had mutated. The power of Desolates, that's the time attribute. You're truly the embodiment of the myriad Dao's love, said the Clear Sky Saint King as he looked at Night Sorrow. At that moment, Night Sorrow felt a change in his soul doppelganger. The energy it contained was rapidly increasing. He was worried that if he continued to strengthen it, his compatibility with his main body would decrease. Seeing Night Sorrow's frown, the Clear Sky Saint King asked. Night Sorrow told the Clear Sky Saint King about his feelings and worries. After that, the Clear Sky Saint King shook his head. He told Night Sorrow that he had taken his blood essence so that his doppelganger would be no different from his main body in the future. He could even have descendants. The other reason was to increase the compatibility. Therefore, there was no need for Night Sorrow to worry. The Clear Sky Saint King then took out a spatial ring and handed it to Night Sorrow. However, he told Night Sorrow that other than a high-grade saint artifact sword and a cultivation technique inheritance, he didn't have anything else in his collection. It wasn't that the Clear Sky Saint King didn't have anything in his collection. It was just that he had used a special method to absorb all the spiritual chi and energy in Clear Sky City to set up the 9 regions origin energy barrier. This was also the reason why Night Sorrow hadn't been able to find anything in Clear Sky City. I'm very sorry that I didn't leave anything for you. However, it was worth it to leave behind this stable 9 regions origin energy barrier, said the Clear Sky Saint King. Senior, there's still something I don't understand. What's going on with the spatial turbulence outside Clear Sky City? Why does it feel like a formation? Asked Night Sorrow. That's a second seal placed by the enemy. They don't want people from the 9 regions world to come here again. Fortunately, you're here, said the Clear Sky Saint King. Chapter 801. I hope they won't attack so early. If they attack early, our 9 regions world won't be able to hold on. Night Sorrow was a bit worried. Don't worry about winning or losing. So what if we lose once? Our 9 regions world has already lost a few times. Losing again isn't a big deal. The main thing is to win in the end, said the Clear Sky Sage King. But many people will die like this, said Night Sorrow. When you go back, tell everyone you can talk to have a backup plan. Back then, the other 2 Sage Kings and I had a backup plan. You guys should do the same, said the Clear Sky Sage King. The Clear Sky Sage King's next words shocked Night Sorrow. The 3 Sage Kings had opened up 3 different spaces, the Night Moon Sea, the Void Path Sky, and the Central Prefecture. Which senior opened up the Night Moon Sea? Night Sorrow stood up. I opened it up for my family's descendants. Why do you know about the Night Moon Sea? Asked the Clear Sky Sage King. He looked at Night Sorrow. I know about the Night Moon Sea. My name is Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow said his name. Your surname is Night. That means you're my descendant. That's great. I'm Yi Qianhua, laughed the Clear Sky Sage King. He was truly happy. Originally, he was very happy that the 9 regions world's people had come here. Now that he knew Night Sorrow was his descendant, he was even happier. Ancestor, do you have no chance of living? Asked Night Sorrow. This is not a matter of opportunity. With the support of the 9 domain world's world origin energy, even a wisp of a remnant soul would not dissipate. Now, his lifespan has come to an end, Yi Qianhua said to Yi Shang. Can I use life spirit liquid? Asked Night Sorrow. It's no use. It's not a matter of resources. Resources can solve a problem. With the support of the Heaven Sealing Palace, how can it not be solved? My lifespan is at its limit, sighed Yi Qianhua. Night Sorrow didn't say anything else. He knew that the old ancestor's lifespan was coming to an end, and he felt a little sad. It's nothing. It's very tiring for me to live like this, but it's also a form of relief. To be able to see my descendants before the end of my life is also a very gratifying thing. Tell me about the Yi clan situation, Yi Qianhua said. Then, Night Sorrow started to talk about what he knew, all the way to the current situation. Night Moon Dynasty, Moon Emperor Yi Tian. You are indeed a genius. Tianjin Tower was built by the Saint King of the Void Dao. You are the young master of the Tianji Tower, so you can have some influence. If there is no hope of victory in the battle, let everyone retreat first. Those people are only attacking the high-level cultivators. They are still waiting for the low-level cultivators to grow, so they will ignore them. Yi Qianhua said to Night Sorrow. Because Yi Qianhua was a soul, the 2 of them could only communicate. They couldn't drink or drink. Then, Night Sorrow said that he wanted to get a title. You can, but there is no way to cheat. You need to rely on your strength. The Heaven Sealing Hall will set up a test. If you perform well, you will be given a title and receive the power of providence of the 9 zones, Yi Qianhua said to Night Sorrow. After resting for a while, Night Sorrow bowed to Yi Qianhua and walked towards the Heaven Sealing Hall. He knew that this was very important to him. A title recognized by the 9 zones world was very important. With Night Sorrow's arrival, the Heaven Sealing Hall's door opened. Yi Shang turned around to look at Yi Qianhua before walking in. Night Sorrow saw an endless staircase in front of him. He knew that this was the test. Stepping on the stairs, Night Sorrow felt the pressure. Just like at Danding Cliff and the Spacetime Pagoda, the pressure came in waves. However, Night Sorrow was still used to it. He had experienced this kind of test before, whether it was at Danding Cliff or the Spacetime Pagoda. As he walked, Night Sorrow calculated the pressure. After reaching level 400, Night Sorrow realized that the path forward was flat. He was not climbing upwards. Instead, he was moving forward against the pressure. However, as Night Sorrow walked forward for a while, the originally flat path once again appeared with rising steps. Night Sorrow was a little puzzled. He had reached the 400th step, which exceeded the pressure of a level 4 supremacy. There should not be rising steps. However, since the steps appeared, Night Sorrow would continue climbing. Since it was a test, and there was only one path, he could only continue climbing. Withstanding the pressure, Night Sorrow continued climbing. With his strong body, Night Sorrow reached the 500th step. Looking at the flat path ahead, Night Sorrow continued forward. After walking for a while, the rising steps appeared again. Night Sorrow took a deep breath and walked up the steps. Since there were steps, he had to go up. This time, Night Sorrow felt a lot of pressure. He then put up a protective shield and continued forward. With the Void Chi's protective shield's corrosive power, Night Sorrow was able to continue forward. After successfully climbing the 600th step, Night Sorrow's robe was soaked. At this time, Night Sorrow wanted to take out some origin spiritual liquid to replenish himself. However, he then realized that his storage ring was surrounded by a special energy, and he could no longer communicate with it. Night Sorrow shook his head. He understood. This was because the test did not allow the use of resources. Fortunately, Night Sorrow had his own way, and that was to slowly move forward and recover. Because he did not know what would happen next, it was important to recover his own energy. The pressure on the flat steps was not very strong. Night Sorrow recovered as he moved forward. When Night Sorrow's cultivation had recovered to 70%, the rising steps appeared again. It would be very difficult to get a title. This was Night Sorrow's thought. Looking at the steps in front of him, Night Sorrow took a deep breath. He shouted in his heart and began to climb. After reaching the 30th step, Night Sorrow could no longer hold on. At this time, Night Sorrow used Spatial Rend and slashed forward. The moment he broke through the pressure, Night Sorrow rushed up. After using Spatial Rend, Night Sorrow could rush up 20 steps. Then, the effect of the Spatial Rend would recover under the pressure. Night Sorrow then continued to use Spatial Rend. After 4 Spatial Rends, Night Sorrow reached the top of the 700th step. At this time, Night Sorrow was exhausted. There was no energy in his body. Just when Night Sorrow thought that he would be blown away by the pressure suddenly disappeared. The steps also disappeared. The place he was at had become a space rich in spirit chi. The first stage of the test has been completed. Night Sorrow has successfully passed the 3-level test. The second stage will begin in 2 hours. A voice sounded in Night Sorrow's ears. When Night Sorrow heard the voice, he began to meditate and recover. At this time, he felt that he could communicate with the storage ring. However, he did not need to eat resources to recover because the spirit chi here was very rich. Chapter 802. 2 hours later, Night Sorrow had recovered to his peak state. He stood up and prepared to take the second test. The first test is the foundation test. The second test is the soul test. As long as you can last for 8 hours, you pass. If you fall to the ground or faint, you fail. The voice sounded in Night Sorrow's ears. Then, the space around Night Sorrow began to change. It turned into a small island with stars above his head. Just as Night Sorrow was observing, a majestic pressure appeared and pressed down on Night Sorrow. Soul pressure. Because this was a test, not an attack, the pressure came slowly. Because of this, the Void Fate Jewel didn't put up any defenses. It could tell what was an attack and what could threaten Yishan's life. Only D equals W, all other QD equals P were pirated. Night Sorrow took out the spiritual jade block and sat down cross-legged. He began to circulate his soul power to resist the pressure. The majestic pressure continued to press down on Night Sorrow's spirit sea. However, Night Sorrow could withstand it. While circulating his soul power to defend, Night Sorrow also placed the energy that was attacking his spirit sea into his spirit sea. As his soul power revolved to defend, it also refined the energy. At this moment, Night Sorrow was not only taking the test, but also cultivating. Night Sorrow sat there steadily. Even if the pressure increased, he did not notice. Night Sorrow was so engrossed in his cultivation that he forgot about the test. The majestic pressure stopped increasing after a certain point. It continued to suppress him. The reason Yishang was able to withstand the pressure from his soul was mainly because he had started cultivating his soul force earlier. Others would only open their divine sea after reaching the 5th stage, but Yishang had already opened his divine sea when he was at the 4th stage. He had already begun cultivating his soul force, and his soul force had long since surpassed his cultivation level. Night Sorrow did not know how much time had passed. He woke up from the spatial turbulence. The second test requires you to skip 3 levels. 2 hours later, the final test will be the test of combat ability. The voice rang out once more. If the clear sky Saint King Yi Qianhua had not explained it to Night Sorrow would have thought that it was the voice of the artifact spirit. Now, he knew that it was not because the heaven-sealing Great Hall was not a treasure. It was a way to display the 9 regions' origin source. In this second test, Night Sorrow did not expend much energy. Now, he was waiting for the arrival of the third test. 2 hours later, the space changed again. This place changed into a large martial arts practice field, but the surroundings were like a cage, which meant that there was no way to escape during the battle. There are a total of 9 waves of energy warriors. You only need to defeat 4 waves to obtain a title. However, the more waves you can withstand, the higher your title will be. The voice of the 9 zones origin appeared in Night Sorrow's ears again. Night Sorrow grabbed the reincarnation spear from his back and walked to the center of the martial arts practice field. Night Sorrow was not afraid of battles. Then, an energy warrior appeared in the martial arts practice field. Night Sorrow saw that this was an opponent of the same level as him. While Night Sorrow was observing, this energy warrior charged towards Night Sorrow. He slashed out with his battle saber, and the saber aura was very violent. Night Sorrow propped up his protective shield and slashed horizontally to the side. Then, the reincarnation spear shook and executed the 7-star glorious moon spear, attacking the opponent. This energy warrior waved his saber to block, but Night Sorrow's 7-star glorious moon spear was not easy to block. Night Sorrow's spear broke the energy warrior's battle saber and pierced the energy warrior's chest. After being hit by Night Sorrow's spear, this energy warrior dispersed. After a while, 2 energy warriors appeared and charged towards Night Sorrow again. Night Sorrow's protective shield had the ability to cut and was very fast. These 2 energy warriors could not keep up with Night Sorrow's speed and were killed by Night Sorrow in 2 rounds. Night Sorrow had just taken a breather when 4 energy warriors appeared in the martial arts practice field. Night Sorrow waved his reincarnation spear and started the battle. After a while, the 4 energy warriors fell under Night Sorrow's spear again. However, Night Sorrow also realized that these energy warriors had different attributes, combat skills, body movements, and skills. Then, 8 energy warriors appeared and surrounded Night Sorrow again. Night Sorrow waved his reincarnation spear and started the battle. He had already survived 4 waves and obtained a title. Night Sorrow treated the following battles as training. As the battle continued, Night Sorrow had already forgotten the concept of the previous waves. This was because he was surrounded by energy warriors with different attributes and combat skills. Night Sorrow fought incisively and vividly. They were all at the same level and there was no energy suppression. It was a competition of combat skills. Night Sorrow was not afraid of this. After 2 hours of battle, a dense crowd of energy warriors appeared on the training field. Using his soul power to scan, Night Sorrow discovered that there were a total of 99 level 4 supremacies and 1 level 7 supremacy. This is the last round of the test. It is also a test that has never appeared before. Now, I will give you some time to rest. After 1 hour, the last round of the challenge will begin. Of course, you can choose to give up because you have already obtained a title. The voice appeared in Night Sorrow's ears again. I will fight. Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow would not let go of such a chance to train. After sitting down with his legs crossed, Night Sorrow realized that the continuous battles had depleted his vital chi and myriad Tao Tome's energy. His soul power was also exhausted. He was too engrossed in the battle just now and did not pay attention to his own condition. After consuming the Life Soul Liquid and Origin Spiritual Liquid, Night Sorrow held the Soul Crystal in his hand and started to fully recover. After 15 minutes, Night Sorrow had almost recovered. However, Night Sorrow was still meditating and cultivating. At the same time, he was organizing his thoughts on how to face the last battle. Night Sorrow knew that such a difficult test would not appear for no reason. There must be a reason for it to appear. If he could get through it, it would only be beneficial for him. After pondering for a while, Night Sorrow stood up. He planned to use all his strength to get through the last round of the test. After displaying the reincarnation spear, Night Sorrow nodded, indicating that the battle could begin. As Night Sorrow nodded, all the energy warriors moved. All of them rushed towards Night Sorrow. The level 7 Honorable Energy Warrior Commander was at the front, holding a long spear in his hand. After one clash, Night Sorrow's body was sent flying. Before Night Sorrow could regain his balance, a battle blade slashed towards Night Sorrow's back. At this moment, Night Sorrow did something that would make anyone dumbfounded. He withdrew his protective shield. The Energy Warrior's battle blade landed on Night Sorrow's back. After cutting open his robe, it slid to the side. It did not break through Night Sorrow's defense at all. This was the reason why Night Sorrow withdrew his protective shield. He did not want to waste his vital chi. Anyway, a level 4 Honorable Energy Warrior would not be able to break through his body. There was no need to waste his vital chi. Chapter 803. Night Sorrow did not care about the level 4 Supremacy's attacks. He focused all his efforts on the level 7 Supremacy Energy Warrior Commander. The 7 Stars Glorious Moon Spear and Hand of Desolation continued to bombard the level 7 Supremacy Energy Warrior Commander. At this moment, the level 4 Supremacy Energy Warriors were no longer the level 4 Supremacy Energy Warrior Commander's assistants. Instead, they were his burdens. They were constantly blocking his path of movement and had endured too many of Night Sorrow's attacks for him. Spatial Rend. Night Sorrow roared. He performed the Spatial Rend, but he controlled its power. He could use the spatial energy, but there would not be any Spatial Rend. After performing the Spatial Rend, Night Sorrow activated his Spatial Energy Shield. With a slash, he appeared in front of the level 7 Supremacy Energy Warrior Commander. Then, he performed the ultimate move of his 7 Stars Glorious Moon Spear Art, 7 Stars Glorious Moon Extreme Kill. Unable to dodge, the Energy Warrior Commander could only block with his spear. As he blocked, a part of his spear was melted. After breaking the Energy Warrior Commander's spear, Night Sorrow controlled his Reincarnation Spear to charge forward and pierced the Energy Warrior Commander's chest. Night Sorrow shook his Reincarnation Spear and the Energy Warrior Commander's body was destroyed. After solving the biggest problem, Night Sorrow roared. He waved his Reincarnation Spear and started to fight with the other level 4 Supremacy Energy Warriors. Night Sorrow would not be injured when fighting with the level 4 Supremacy Energy Warriors. This was because his defense was stronger than his opponent's attack. It was only a matter of time before he defeated them. This battle was Night Sorrow's most satisfying battle. After an hour, Night Sorrow killed the last energy warrior with a single strike. You passed the test perfectly. The voice sounded. Night Sorrow looked at his torn battle robe. He changed into a new one and sat down cross-legged, planning to recover. Night Sorrow had just sat down cross-legged. Before he started to recover, a ball of light suddenly appeared. The light enveloped Night Sorrow, and under Night Sorrow's astonishment, the light shuttled back and forth within his body. After the time it took to brew a cup of tea, the light left Night Sorrow's body and turned into an energy body. I've investigated your situation. There are 2 titles that are suitable for you. Of course, you can also request for a title, but it's unknown whether you will be granted one, the energy figure said. GW, net first D hair, K, why is it unknown whether or not it can be given? Yi Shan didn't quite understand, so he asked. For example, if a supremacy passed the test and wanted the title of Invincible Supremacy, the title would not be given to him because he does not have the qualifications to be invincible, the energy figure explained. Then tell me which 2 titles are suitable for me, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a moment. He didn't have any titles in mind, so he wanted to hear what the energy figure had to say about the heaven-sealing Great Hall. Your true chi is of the Void attribute, so you can be given the title of Void. Your body has the potential to become immortal, so you can also be given the title of Immortal, the energy figure said to Night Sorrow. Then I'll be called Immortal, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a moment. He liked this title. Immortal Supremacy. This title is a bit big, but you have the qualifications. In the future, there won't be any more titles in the 9 regions world. This is the only title that belongs to you. Once you become a saint, you'll have to undergo another test. If you pass, you'll become an immortal saint, the energy figure said to Night Sorrow. I understand. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at the energy figure. The energy clone nodded and waved its arm. Suddenly, 2 golden characters appeared in the air. They were ancient characters, but Night Sorrow could recognize them. They were the 2 characters Immortal. The 2 ancient characters churned in the air, constantly glowing. This title of yours is a peak title, and it contains a different meaning. In other words, the 9 regions world's origins acknowledge that you have the potential to become immortal. However, the 9 regions world's origins are broken, and I'm not a complete origin, so the amount of karmic luck I can give you is limited. Also, I heard your conversation with Sacred King Clear Sky. If you can repair the 9 regions world, I can control the 9 regions origins and fuse them into your body. When that time comes, you'll become the ruler of the 9 regions world. You'll be able to control the 9 regions world and prevent it from being invaded. In fact, the 9 regions world will be able to evolve into a supreme world, the energy figure said to Night Sorrow. But I know that 2 of the 9 regions origins have already recognized a master. Can the 9 regions origins be fused again? Will that affect them? Night Sorrow asked. Of course I know. Of the 9 domain essences, the Dongxian essence and Nanli essence have acknowledged me as their master, but that's only a superficial acknowledgement. My true self can take them back. My true self scattered the 9 domain essences all over the world in order to find a master for the 9 domains, but they aren't suitable. My true self isn't an essence body right now. I'm the core essence energy of the 9 domain essences, and I can control the 9 fragmented essences. If I want to take them back, I can. Should I take them back now? No, I don't want that. The people who refined the 2 origins are related to me. I don't want them to be hurt, Night Sorrow said. When you're able to mend the entire world, I'll consider leaving some origin energy for the 2 of you after retrieving the origin energy. It won't harm them either. The energy body, which was the 9 realms origin energy, explained to Night Sorrow. While Night Sorrow was communicating with the 9 regions origins, golden light appeared in the sky all over the 9 regions world. The golden light tumbled for a while and then turned into 2 symbols, which then turned into 2 ancient characters. The ancient characters floated high in the sky and shone in all directions. On an island in the realm Xia Lanjun and the other saints had arrived at the eastern Xian region's camp. Wu Lingfei was also here. Everyone was looking at the two ancient characters dancing in the sky. A titled expert has appeared. It's actually an immortal titled expert. This has never happened before in the 9 regions world, said Long Xiansheng. Lord Long Xiansheng, what's going on? Asked Xia Lanjun. Someone entered the heaven sealing palace, passed the test, and obtained a taboo title. Who is it? Long Xiansheng narrowed his eyes and pondered. Senior, what is a taboo title? Asked Wu Lingfei. A title based on one's accomplishments and attribute is a taboo title. The appearance of such a title means that the heaven sealing palace believes that the person who obtained the title can reach the peak of an attribute. Such a title shouldn't appear in the world, muttered Long Xiansheng. We can't even get close, but someone actually obtained a taboo title. What's going on? Nangansheng looked at the group of people in confusion. We can't, but that doesn't mean others can't. The 9 regions world is about to change, said Long Xiansheng. Just now, Dongshuan's origin qi trembled and wanted to leave my body. I couldn't suppress it, but it stabilized later, said Wu Lingfei. Chapter 804. The golden light bathed the 9 regions world for a while before dispersing. Within the heaven sealing palace, the 2 ancient characters in the air spun and merged into Night Sorrow's body. Cultivators have to fight against the heavens. The world is the same. It's also a fight against the heavenly Tao. The future of the 9 regions world depends on you. The energy body sighed. Then can I bring others here to get a title? Asked Night Sorrow. Of course. You can leave now. The energy body waved its arm, and Night Sorrow's energy surged. Then Night Sorrow appeared at the entrance of the heaven sealing palace. Good kid, you've become a titled immortal. That's really amazing. Clear Sky Saint King looked at Night Sorrow with gratification. It wasn't easy to get this title, said Night Sorrow with a smile. Clear Sky Saint King then told Night Sorrow about some of the problems with the Clear Sky scripture. Then Night Sorrow planned to leave. He planned to bring some people to the heaven sealing palace to get a title. After all, the karmic luck of the 9 regions world was a huge benefit. Night Sorrow, don't bring too many people in. The 9 regions origin energy situation isn't too good right now. If you bring in a large group of people, it'll be a huge burden on her, said Clear Sky Saint King to Night Sorrow. Yes, I'll bring some people who are close to me, Yishan said. At this moment, a thought appeared in Yishang's mind, and that was to not exceed 20 people. This was the current limit of the 9 regions origin energy. If it exceeded this number, she would not open the heaven sealing hall. Night Sorrow knew that this was the 9 regions origin energy's meaning. It'll be very difficult for you to go back and forth, said Clear Sky Saint King to Night Sorrow. Can you set up a teleportation formation? Asked Night Sorrow. It's useless. There are spatial storms raging outside Clear Sky City. When you teleport, it'll be easy for the spatial turbulence to destroy the spatial channel. The result will be death, said Clear Sky Saint King. Then I can only continue to travel through the void turbulence. Night Sorrow exhaled. There's nothing we can do about it, Clear Sky Saint King said. Following this, the Clear Sky Saint King told Night Sorrow that he wouldn't appear anymore. As for the other things, if it wasn't necessary, he shouldn't tell anyone else. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and understood. He knew that this would cause panic. Some things needed to be done by himself. Even if he told others, it would be meaningless. Child, you have to be careful. The 9 regions world already knows about the immortal title. If you go out and bring others here, you won't be able to hide the fact that you have an immortal title. Killing people to steal fate has happened from time to time. Clear Sky Saint King said to Night Sorrow. I'll be careful. Night Sorrow nodded. Also, there's a map in the storage ring I gave you. It has the symbols of the world passages around the 9 regions world. The nether world is a very warlike world. It often fights with the Nine Regions world. The nether beasts are very powerful. They're the most warlike race under the nether race. Clear Sky Saint King reminded Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow was stunned for a moment. Then he told him about the Supreme River Space and the Nether World, as well as the relationship between them and Clear Sky City. This is troublesome. War will happen sooner or later. The other thing you have to pay attention to is the Profound Mysteries realm. It's a human world and has a very strong desire to fight. They attacked us once, but they were defeated by Void Dao Saint King. You have to go and take a look. We can't let them rise, said Clear Sky Saint King. Isn't that tantamount to invasion? Night Sorrow said. He was a little disgusted by the idea of invasion. Ha, it's not invasion. Whether it's the Nether World or the Profound Mysteries realm, they both want to take over our Nine Regions world. It's not the first time they've started a war. Attacking them is a form of defense. Clear Sky Saint King saw Night Sorrow's concern and smiled. Then I'm relieved. Since they want to take over our Nine Regions world, we'll fight back, Night Sorrow said. Remember, repairing the Nine Regions world is the most important thing. Alright, I'll go to the Sky Ceiling Hall to recover a little. Then, I'll stabilize the Thousand Derivation Great Formation. That way, when the spatial storm outside dissipates, Clear Sky City can still exist. The Nine Regions Origin Protective Shield is not afraid of the attacks of the Otherworlders. We'll kill as many as we can, but we're afraid of the Nine Regions world's people destroying it. Later, I'll set up some formations. The Thousand Derivation Killing Formation and Thousand Derivation Illusory Formation are in the storage ring I gave you. You can come and go as you please in the future, Clear Sky Saint King told Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow understands. Night Sorrow nodded. After that, Night Sorrow left the Sky Ceiling Hall and flew toward the edge of the Realm Sea. The chaotic spatial storm's existence gave Night Sorrow a headache. The main problem was that it consumed a lot of energy, but it was unavoidable. After spending a day and 2,000 high-grade spirit stones, Night Sorrow returned to the island in the Realm Sea where he and Xueshi were staying. You're back. Xueshi threw herself into Night Sorrow's arms when she saw Night Sorrow. I'm back, and I even got a title, Night Sorrow said as he hugged Xueshi. I'm very angry. You abandoned me at a critical moment and ran away by yourself, Xueshi said as she punched Night Sorrow's shoulder. Night Sorrow wrapped Xueshi up and entered the Spacetime Pagoda. Xueshi immediately asked Night Sorrow about his trip to Clear Sky City. Night Sorrow didn't hide anything from Xueshi and told her about the situation in detail. I see. I know about the Central Province Prefecture. It's the territory of Ji Yu's family, but I don't know about Su Daotian. I just didn't expect Night Moon's family to be the descendants of Clear Sky Sage King. It seems that you're the hope of the Nine Realms, Xueshi said. I plan to go back and call Grandpa, Father, Mother, Aunt Faye, and Godslayer's little brother, the Three Supremacies. I'll also call a few saints from the Celestial Terminus Tower to go to the Heaven Sealing Great Hall to get a title, Yishang said. Then I'll meet the people from Tianji Tower. If Xia Lanjun recognizes me, it'll be troublesome. I don't want to cause any trouble, and I don't want you to waste time explaining, Xueshi said. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said, I won't put you on the same floor as the others. That way, there won't be any possibility of you meeting each other. As for the test, I'll think of a way to split you into several groups. Get on the QDZ network as soon as possible. Xueshi thought for a moment and nodded. She respected Night Sorrow's idea very much. I want to be with you, Xueshi said as she hugged Night Sorrow's neck. You're simply a fairy, okay? Night Sorrow nodded. After the passion, Night Sorrow released the airship and set off for Clear Sky City. Chapter 805. Sitting in the flying ship, Night Sorrow opened the Clear Sky Sage King's storage ring. When the Clear Sky Sage King had given the storage ring to Night Sorrow, he had erased the soul imprint on the storage ring. Night Sorrow took out a sword with spatial energy fluctuations. Night Sorrow knew that this was a high-grade saint artifact. It was the Clear Sky Sage King's sword. You're not going to give it away again, are you? You have the spatial attribute. This sword is very suitable for you. You can also cultivate sword arts, said Xueshi. I want to give it to my grandfather, said Night Sorrow. It's useless. Even if you give it to him, he just became a saint. He won't be able to use it. You should keep it for now, said Xueshi to Night Sorrow. She was thinking from Night Sorrow's point of view. Then let's wait and see, said Night Sorrow after thinking for a moment. Next, Night Sorrow took out an ancient book. It was the Clear Sky scripture left behind by the Clear Sky Sage King. After putting away the Clear Sky scripture, Night Sorrow took out 2 diagrams. Then he took out a map of the 9 regions world and the surrounding worlds. Night Sorrow looked at the map and found that it was very different from the current 9 regions world. He could only make a rough estimate. The 9 regions world from 10,000 years ago was completely different from the current 9 regions world. After tidying up, Night Sorrow stretched his waist. That's all? Asked Xueshi to Night Sorrow. Yes, that's all. When I have time, I'll go cultivate the Clear Sky scripture. It'll take some time to change from the Sacred Cauldron scripture to the Clear Sky scripture, said Night Sorrow. 10,000 years ago, the continent's first Saint King only had so little resources. That's ridiculous, muttered Xueshi. Sigh, you don't know the whole story. This upper-grade sacred artifact, Sky-Slashing Sword, has probably been with him for a long time. The Clear Sky Sage King couldn't bear to part with it. He took out all the other resources and used them to construct the 9 regions origin defensive shield. Night Sorrow explained the reason why Clear Sky City didn't have any resources and spiritual chi. So that's the case. It's really not easy. After knowing the reason, Xueshi nodded her head. After arriving at Haohai City, Night Sorrow received the sky ship and Snow Dusk. They arrived at the teleportation point and began to teleport back to Sky City. After meeting with Yi Linglan, Night Sorrow asked about his mother. After learning that his mother was still in Sky City, Night Sorrow asked Yi Linglan to inform Yi Linghuan and his father to look for him. Then, he returned to his mansion. Son, you ran for a long time, Yu Qing said when she saw Night Sorrow return. Mother, I'm back, Night Sorrow said with a smile. V only, 1, N, and all others O is O pirated, big brother, when you're not home, mother talks about you every day. She can't wait to talk about you, said Yin Yen with a smile. Night Sorrow smiled and got up to make tea. However, Xueshi was very understanding. She took the tea set from Night Sorrow's hands and began to make tea. Don't tell me she has the potential to become a sister-in-law. Yin Yen smiled as she looked at Xueshi and muttered. A child like you shouldn't speak nonsense. Yu Qing glared at Yin Yanxiao. Soon after, Yi Linghuan arrived. While everyone was drinking tea together, Yi Wuyo also arrived at the residence. What is it? What do you need me to do? Yi Wuyo looked at Night Sorrow and asked. He was afraid that his son would be wronged. There are no outsiders here, so I'll get straight to the point. Night Sorrow said that he had entered Haotian City and obtained a title. You mean you can bring some people in? Yi Linghuan looked at Night Sorrow with some surprise. Yes, but not too many. Grandfather, you can arrange it, Night Sorrow said to Yi Linghuan. Your parents must go. Grandfather will not decline. Night Moon also has 4 emperors. In addition, your 6th uncle, King Linghuan, should also go. Isn't there a bit too many people? After Yi Linghuan mentioned a few people, he smiled at Night Sorrow. This was because there were 8 people. I'm the one who will bring people in. I'm from Night Moon, so others naturally can't say anything. In addition, our god-slaying squad has 3 venerables. Yun Huang, Ling Long, and Liang Yu will also go. That's 11 people, Night Sorrow said. Besides the people from Night Moon's dynasty, Wu Lingfei and Long Xianqing must go. As for the people from Medicine Valley, Night Sorrow thought for a while and felt that he should put them aside. After all, the venerables from Medicine Valley were not very strong, and there was some gap between them and the venerables from the God-slaying squad. It was meaningless for them to go. Including Xue Shi, there were 14 people in total. Then there were the people from Tianjin Tower, including Xie Lanjun, Lin Yuandao, Guo Xiao, Lu Trin Xuan, and Hua Haining. As for the people from the North Sea region, Night Sorrow could not take care of them. Night Sorrow planned to give the people from Tianjin Tower 5 places. As for the people from Tianjin Tower, they should make their own arrangements. How about it? Do you have enough places? Yi Linghuan looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Night Sorrow thought for a while and said, let's forget about the Medicine Valley. After all, it's not easy to get a title. There's still one more place. Let's see who we can give it to. Then give it to the monarch of the Yun dynasty. This is Grandpa's selfishness. The Taiqing domain must rise. Yi Linghuan said again. Grandpa, I need absolute trust to take everyone there. We need to enter my space sacred treasure. It can be said that I'm putting their lives in my hands. This time, I'm going to spend thousands of high-grade spirit stones. It's a thankless task. Night Sorrow expressed his concerns. That's true. Grandpa, let him know. If he goes, he'll have to pay the spirit stones. Yi Linghuan said. Then Yi Linghuan left Sky City and went to inform Yun Tianlong. Son, you were the one who made the golden light that filled the sky. You're so domineering. Yu Qing looked at Night Sorrow and said with a smile. It's really not easy. However, it seems that I passed the examination and got a top-level forbidden title. Even if it's difficult for others, there should be a limit. Mother, you can do it. Night Sorrow said with a smile. While they were talking, Yang Lei and the others returned. Looking at Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, and Aoi, Night Sorrow told them about this matter. The 3 of them were not venerables and could not participate. Then, Night Sorrow apologized to Sikong Chuyu. He could not take care of the Sikong family at the moment. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Sikong Chuyu shook his head. This is the big picture. The people you chose were all chosen for a reason. In terms of qualifications, Yun Huang, Ling Long, and Liang Yu are a bit inferior. However, they are all very outstanding. If they have luck, they will grow faster in the future. Night Sorrow explained the reason for the 3 members of the God-slaying team. Night Sorrow was still thinking about Tianyu. When the time came, he could only communicate with the 9 regions' origin energy alone. Aoi then called Yun Huang and the others over. Night Sorrow told them about this matter. The 3 of them were very happy. Of course, they knew how rare this opportunity was. Then, Yi Shenxian, Yi Shenyue, Yi Shenlei, and Yi Shenquang all came. Night Moon and the Emperor, but because of the previous battle, their cultivation was either destroyed or they had no future. 2 hours later, Yi Linghuan also returned. Yun Tianlong is really disappointing. He told the family that he was looking for a breakthrough and then disappeared. Chapter 806. Night Sorrow then nodded at Sikong Chuyu. Then I'll go home and inform my father, Sikong Chuyu said and left the city in the sky. Sigh, my old man can't even drink soup, let alone eat meat, Yun Huang said bitterly. With the teleportation array, Sikong Chuyu was very fast. He brought his father back in half an hour. Sikong Chuyu gave an introduction to everyone. Sikong Tianding bowed to the 4 emperors of Night Moon, then cupped his hands to Yi Linghuan, Yi Wuyo, and Yu Qing. In-law, I'm very sorry. Because I've been in seclusion recently, I didn't visit Night Sorrow's mother. Yi Wuyo cupped his hands to Sikong Tianding. That's understandable. Chuyu's mother has also been in seclusion recently, so she didn't come, Sikong Tianding said. Knet head. Yu hair. Yi Linghuan told Sikong Tianding about entering Night Sorrow's spacetime pagoda because he was handing his life over to Night Sorrow. Ha, a son-in-law is half a son. How can I not trust him? Sikong Tianding said with a smile. As for trusting Night Sorrow and Night Moon's emperors, there was naturally no problem. As for the 3 members of the god-slaying team, there was even less of a problem. Then you guys go in. I'll go to Tianji Tower again, then we'll set off for that small island. Night Sorrow held the spacetime pagoda in his right hand and told everyone not to resist. Then, he transferred them to the 50th floor of the pagoda and Xue Shi to the 60th floor. After putting everyone into the spacetime pagoda, Night Sorrow went to the lake and also put Tianyu, who was cultivating, into the pagoda. Then, he rushed to Tianji Tower. When he arrived at Tianji Tower, Night Sorrow saw Lin Yuandao and Guo Xiao. Night Sorrow said that he could enter Haotian City and the Heaven-Sealing Great Hall. Then, he said that he could give Lin Yuandao 5 spots, excluding Wu Lingfei. Then let's go to that island first. I'll discuss this with the Supreme Elder. Lin Yuandao thought for a moment, then called for Guo Xiao and Hua Haining to follow Night Sorrow to the island in the Realm Sea. In the camp of the Eastern Xian region, Night Sorrow saw Long Xiansheng, Wu Lingfei, Xia Lanjun, and the others. However, Nan Gansheng and Zhen Haisheng were not there. They had brought their own people elsewhere. As for this matter, it depends on everyone's situation. After all, this is the same as putting your lives in my hands. If you are worried, then forget it. After all, I can't afford to pay a large amount of spirit stones and be suspected. After explaining the situation, Night Sorrow also explained his own intentions. I'm not afraid, haha. Long Xianqing laughed. Wu Lingfei smiled and nodded at Night Sorrow. When it came to trust, the person she trusted the most was Night Sorrow. I'm very grateful that you can give me 5 spots in Tianji Tower. Also, it's going to cost a lot of spirit stones. Xia Lanjun looked at Night Sorrow. No one would believe me even if I told them. I made a trip there myself, and a few thousand high-grade spirit stones were gone. I spent a lot of energy traveling through the spatial storms, so I had to enter the pagoda of spacetime to recover. When the time comes, the pagoda of spacetime will have to withstand the spatial storms. It will require a lot of energy from spirit stones. Night Sorrow smiled bitterly. Tianji Tower will pay for this. What do you think, Master K? Xia Lanjun looked at Lin Yuandao. Elder Hua, did you bring spirit stones? Lin Yuandao looked at Hua Haining. Hua Haining was the elder in charge of managing resources in Tianji Tower. I only brought 4,000 high-grade spirit stones with me. Hua Haining took out a spatial ring. How about this? I'll use top-grade spirit stones in exchange. Using top-grade spirit stones isn't worth it. Night Sorrow took out 40 top-grade spirit stones. Don't be like this. We don't feel good about cheating our juniors. You giving 5 spots to Tianji Tower is already very rare. We appreciate it, said Xia Lanjun. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and nodded. He put away the spatial ring Hua Haining had given him. Night Sorrow, Aunt Fei has 1,000 high-grade spirit stones. I don't need them right now. Take them. Wu Lingfei also took out 2 spatial belts. Aunt Fei, I really don't need them. Night Sorrow shook his head. Be good. Aunt Fei doesn't need spirit stones for cultivation right now. Besides, if you want to use them, use top-grade spirit stones. Wu Lingfei pulled on Night Sorrow's hand and stuffed the spatial belts into Night Sorrow's hand. Then Senior Xia, Master K, please discuss the arrangements for the spots. We can leave at any time, said Night Sorrow. Xia Lanjun nodded and entered the tent with Lin Yuandao and the others. After all, there were still many people in Tianji Tower. The matter of the spots needed to be discussed. A moment later, the results came out. Xia Lanjun, Lin Yuandao, Guo Xiao, Hua Haining, and Lutrin Xuan. Li Changtian was currently in the Eastern Xian region, so he couldn't make it. After making the decision, Night Sorrow brought them into the spacetime pagoda and then flew back to where he had entered the Realm Sea last time. After arriving at the edge of the Realm Sea, Night Sorrow rested for a moment and then flew into the Realm Sea. With the experience of transmigrating, Night Sorrow had to work very hard this time. It took him a day and 3,000 high-grade spirit stones to reach Supreme Sky City. Arriving at Vast Sky City, Night Sorrow's consumption decreased. After transmigrating, he rested and recovered, and then transmigrated again. After a few times, Night Sorrow arrived at an area without spatial storms. Then, Night Sorrow brought everyone out. Of course, Xueshi was still in the spacetime pagoda. Seeing everyone's surprised expressions, Night Sorrow explained the reason for the situation. Then, Night Sorrow brought everyone to the 9 Regions Origin Energy Shield. This 9 Regions Origin Energy Shield isn't harmful to the people of the 9 regions, but it's a great weapon against outsiders. It's also the last layer of protection for the Heaven Sealing Great Hall. After explaining, Night Sorrow brought everyone into the 9 Regions Origin Energy Shield. As everyone approached the Heaven Sealing Great Hall, the door opened, and a group of people entered. Tianyu followed everyone in. After everyone entered, Night Sorrow looked at the Heaven Sealing Great Hall. Senior 9 Regions, are you here? You really brought 20 people. The 9 Regions Origin Energy's voice sounded in Night Sorrow's ears. I still have some people here. I didn't bring them because I didn't dare to hurt you, said Night Sorrow. You have another person's aura on you. Let her go. One more person won't make a difference. The 9 Regions Origin Energy expressed its intention. Night Sorrow hurriedly let Xueshi out and let her go to the Heaven Sealing Great Hall. This group of people has good potential. The 9 regions still have hope. The 9 Regions Origin Energy communicated with Night Sorrow. The last person should be separated from the others. When she comes out, change to another place. I'll directly put her into the spacetime pagoda. Night Sorrow said. This is a small matter. I can help you tell you that it can only limit 20 people because the 9 regions origin energy can't be used. It's hard to replenish it. If you continue to use it, it won't be worth it. However, once the 9 regions world is repaired, there won't be this drawback. You have a supreme attribute world. At that time, the world law's power will be stronger than before the 9 regions world was destroyed. It will be difficult for the experts of the profound sky world to descend. The 9 regions origin energy communicated with Night Sorrow. Chapter 807. He's not good. This senior knows a lot about him. Over the years, we have often communicated. He has reincarnated a few times, but because the conditions of the 9 regions world were not good enough, he was unable to break through to the Saint King realm. Therefore, in this life, he persevered until the end of his lifespan and refused to reincarnate. He wanted to persevere for the 9 regions world until the end. The 9 regions world source conveyed the news that shocked Night Sorrow. Hee, that's indeed the case. It's better for me to say it than him. Yi Qianhua's figure appeared. When you cultivate the clear heaven scripture that I gave you to a certain extent, you will discover some of the information I left behind. Of course, there's also the possibility of not discovering it. After you left last time, I thought a lot and felt that there are some things I can tell you. The clear heaven Saint King looked at Night Sorrow and said. Following the clear heaven Saint King's narration, Night Sorrow learned some unknown secrets. The Yi clan was once a very famous clan in the profound sky world. It was one of the top clans in the South Sky Empire. At that time, the eldest son of the Yi clan even married the princess of the South Sky Empire. However, because the eldest son of the Yi clan was extremely talented, the crown prince of the South Sky Empire felt threatened and set up a trap to frame the Yi clan with the crime of betrayal. Did you know that the Yi clan was the #1 clan in the South Sky Empire? But because of suspicion, the crown prince used despicable methods. He used the eldest son of the eldest son as a threat to cripple the cultivation of the eldest son of the Yi clan and the princess of the South Sky Empire. In the end, he cruelly killed the two of them. The Clear Heaven Saint King sighed. Looking at Night Sorrow, the Clear Heaven Saint King's face was filled with misery. Do you really want to know why I know so much? It's because I'm the child of the eldest son of the Yi clan and the princess of the South Sky Empire. I'm that child. Night Sorrow felt very sad in his heart because he felt the pain of the Clear Heaven Saint King Yi Qianhua. After the war started, some of my clansmen and I were sent to the 9-domain world by the patriarch of the Yi clan, who is also my grandfather. I was unwilling to give up. I missed my father and mother, so I decided to take revenge. After that, I experienced 3 great massacres in the Sky Profound world, and every time, my body would be torn apart. Then, my soul would reincarnate and fight again. After the last great battle, my heart was tired, because I could not see any hope. Old ancestor, you can reincarnate, Night Sorrow said anxiously. 10,000 years ago, when the 9 regions world was destroyed, my heart died, and I gave up on reincarnation. The disaster of the 9 regions world was brought about by the Yi clan and their subordinate clans, so even if I gave up on reincarnation, I still had to work hard for the 9 regions world. Now, I see hope, but it's too late to reincarnate. Night Sorrow didn't want to see Yi Qianhua's sad ending. Maybe my father and mother will die. Perhaps I'll only be able to see my father and mother if I die completely. People say that after living for a long time, you'll become numb. But the longer I live, the more I miss them. I can't hold on anymore. Child, live well. Living well is more important than anything else. Yi Qianhua sighed and disappeared from Yi Shang's sight. He's cooperating with the Heaven Sealing Great Hall, which means he's cooperating with me to strengthen your soul clone. He doesn't have the ability to come out and see you again. Maybe you can calm the regret in his heart. The 9 regions origin Chi expressed a thought and disappeared in front of Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow felt very sad. Because of his ancestors' grief, he deeply felt the pain in Yi Qianhua's heart. Clenching his teeth, Night Sorrow felt that he had the ability to do something for Yi Qianhua. Because that was his ancestor. His ancestor had been wronged. As a descendant, he had the responsibility to avenge his ancestor. Night Sorrow also understood the origins of the Night Moon Empire. The Night Moon Empire was a family in the Sky Profound world. They couldn't withstand the despicable methods of others and were forced to develop in the 9 regions world. Feeling the grief in Yi Qianhua's heart, Night Sorrow felt very depressed. It could be said that it was the shame of the Yi clan. Night Sorrow felt that if there was a day when the Night Moon Empire could trample the Sky South Empire under their feet, then it would be considered as washing away their shame. As long as I'm alive, I will definitely avenge my ancestor and the Yi clan. I will definitely let the Night Moon Empire stand at the peak. Night Sorrow, who had this thought, shouted towards the Heaven Sealing Great Hall. At this moment, in a separate space in the Heaven Sealing Great Hall, Yi Qianhua was sitting cross-legged. There was a special array in front of him. The jade container that contained Night Sorrow's blood and soul clone was within the array. Clear Sky Sage King, your past few lives have been tragic. However, this descendant of yours is a good person. Now, you don't have to care about this anymore. Go and reincarnate. Due to your efforts for the 9 regions world, I can give you a strand of origin energy to support you. It will allow you to complete your reincarnation before the end of your life. The 9 regions origin energy said to Yi Qianhua's soul. But this will be a form of harm to you. Yi Qianhua's originally lifeless eyes lit up. #forever free Yufi. Look at the small video camera. Cultivators are virtuous. You have done good deeds for the 9 regions, so I naturally have to do something for you. Go and reincarnate. With the protection of the reincarnation force, the spatial storm outside will not be a threat to you. As for the array that needs to be set up outside, you have already set up the array foundation. Later on, when I recover, all you need to do is to pour energy into it. The 9 regions origin energy separated a ray of light and entered Yi Qianhua's soul clone. Yi Qianhua stood up and bowed to the 9 regions origin energy. Then, a mixed white light appeared on his body and he disappeared from the heaven-sealing great hall. While Night Sorrow was thinking, a golden light appeared in the sky above the heaven-sealing great hall. Moreover, the golden light continued to appear. Night Sorrow knew that someone had passed the test. Then, more and more people appeared. The first to appear was Yi Linghuan. "Grandpa, the Sky Slayer title is yours, right?" Night Sorrow asked. He had seen the Sky Slayer title just now. It was the first to appear. The light had also covered the other titles. Yes. Yi Linghuan smiled and began to meditate. Then, other people appeared. However, most of the titles were in their own names or their previous code names. Wu Lingfei's title was Golden Phoenix, Yi Linghuan's title was Wuyo, and Yu Qing's title was Qing Fei. While everyone was resting, Night Sorrow left the front of the heaven-sealing great hall and walked to an area where no one was paying attention to. Then, he put Xue Shi, who had been sent out by the 9 regions' origin energy, into the 60th floor of the space-time treasure pagoda. Then, he returned to the main entrance of the heaven-sealing great hall. At this time, everyone came out. Not everyone had obtained a title. Ling Long didn't get one. Lu Trin Xuan didn't get one. Neither did the Sikong Heavenly Cauldron. The 3 of them had failed the test. The 3 of them were very sad because this opportunity had not come easily. However, the 3 of them had wasted it. No one could do anything about this. The heaven-sealing Great Hall's test had different levels of difficulty depending on the level of the examinee. The standard for a half-saint was the standard for a half-saint. If you weren't at the top of this level, you wouldn't get a title. Don't worry. This is nothing. Just come back after cultivating for a while, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Captain, I'm sorry to disappoint you. I've embarrassed our god-slaying squad, Ling Long said in a low voice. Chapter 808. Then everyone sat down to cultivate and stabilize their cultivation bases. Obtaining a title was equivalent to obtaining some of the 9 regions' karmic luck, as well as some energy to refine. Don't bring anyone here for 3 years. Every 3 years, 5 people can come. However, those who participate once can't come again for 20 years. In 2 months, the 1000 derivation killing formation and 1000 derivation illusory formation will appear. Aside from you, who has the clear sky sacred king's formation diagram, no one else can enter. The 9 regions' origin energy's voice rang out in Night Sorrow's mind. Chapter 9a Section JT 04 hours later, everyone who had been meditating stood up. No one celebrated, the 9 domains world was already in such a state, so there was nothing to celebrate. Moreover, there were still 3 people who had not passed the examination, so celebrating would make them feel uncomfortable. Then if there's nothing else, we can go back, said Night Sorrow. Then they entered the spacetime tower. Night Sorrow had to go through the spatial storms of the realm sea and return to the island. Once they were on the island, Night Sorrow let them out. Night Sorrow, thank you. Xia Lanjun cupped her hands toward Night Sorrow. That's nothing. There are still some things. This time, because there was a limit to the number of people, I didn't bring some. Senior Xia, please help me explain. I'm especially sorry about martial uncles, Yi Shang said to Xia Lanjun. I will tell them about it, Xia Lanjun said. Tell Uncle Master that I'll bring her in 3 years, said Night Sorrow. The Uncle Master of the Eastern Xian region was supporting him. Adding on the fact that the Medicine Valley's resources were expanding into the North Sea, Night Sorrow felt like he had to help the Uncle Master. What about in 3 years? Asked Lin Yuandao. There were many sovereigns in the Tianjin Tower, so he naturally paid attention to it. Yes, but don't worry about the spots. There are only 5 people. This time, I didn't even bring my master. Next time, my 3 fiancés will enter. Night Sorrow directly refused. He needed the spots himself. It was already good enough that he could give one to his Uncle Master. You've already helped the Tianjin Tower a lot. I shouldn't have such thoughts, said Lin Yuandao apologetically. He knew his request wasn't appropriate. If he had known there were only 5 spots, he wouldn't have asked. Sir Tower Lord, I have 3 fiancés. 2 of them are from the extreme heaven tower, and so am I, Yi Shang smiled and said. Then Lin Yuandao and the Tianjin Tower's people laughed. Night Sorrow was from Tianjin Tower. That was enough. The Tianjin Tower would take the lion's share of the benefits. Night Sorrow also told everyone not to stay here and not to wait for the spatial storm to dissipate. Even if the spatial storm dissipated, no one would be able to get close to the heaven sealing hall. The 1000 Development Illusory Formation and the Killing Formation were the Clear Sky Saint's consummate skills. Even a saint wouldn't be able to break it if their formation skills weren't good enough. Then the group left the island. Some of them went to the Tianji Tower, while others went to Sky City. Wu Lingfei also followed Night Sorrow to Sky City. Aunt Fei, there's nothing in the eastern Xian region. You can stay here with me, said Night Sorrow. Ha, actually, I didn't tell you. My spiritual avatar is in the eastern Xian region. If there's anything, I'll take care of it, said Wu Lingfei. After saying that, Wu Lingfei was stunned. She had inadvertently glanced at Night Sorrow's waist. She saw that the pouch that had been holding Night Sorrow's spiritual avatar had disappeared. Yi Shang also looked at his waist. He had no choice but to give up on this matter. There was nothing he could do about it. Where did your spiritual avatar go? Who attacked you? Wu Lingfei's expression turned cold. Killing chi could be felt. It's in the heaven sealing hall. Other than Night Moon, there's only you here. There's no one else. I'll tell you what I saw this time. In the future, we'll all need to work together. Night Sorrow sighed. He told her about the 9 regions' origin energy and the Clear Sky Saint King's words. He also told her about what had happened before Night Moon. Ancestor is so pitiful. Night Xinyue wiped the corner of her eyes. The other women also had sparkling tears in their eyes. I obtained his inheritance. Furthermore, as a descendant of the Night Clan, if there's a chance, I'll get justice for my ancestor. I'll get justice for my ancestor and Night Moon, said Night Sorrow. This isn't your responsibility alone. It's the responsibility of the entire Night Clan. It's the responsibility of the Night Moon dynasty. We'll remember the Heavenly South dynasty. Our Night Moon dynasty will rise again, said Yi Linghuan to Night Sorrow. We can't rush this matter. No matter what, we have to stabilize the 9 regions world first. With a stable backer, we can fight however we want. Using our 9 regions world Saint crystals as materials is a great humiliation to us, said Wu Lingfei. Grandfather knows the name of the profound mysteries realm. I also know its general location. It should be in the western nether region, said Yi Linghuan after thinking for a moment. The Clear Sky Saint King said that they've always wanted to attack our 9 regions world. That's one of the reasons why our 9 regions world is unstable. If we can find a spatial channel, we'll kill our way in. We won't give them a chance to attack us, said Night Sorrow. Alright. You don't need to worry about that. Grandfather will go investigate, said Yi Linghuan. In addition, our family's Night Moon Sea needs to be strengthened. If the profound sky world starts a war with our 9 regions world before I can fix it, then our high-level cultivators will have to retreat, said Night Sorrow to Yi Linghuan. I'll take care of that. Don't worry, Night Sorrow. There'll be a stable backup for you here, said Night Sorrow. Tianji Tower was founded by Sage King Xue Dao. I'll have to ask Grand Elder Xia and Lord Lin Ke about the Xue Dao sky. I'll also have to make some arrangements. As for the Jiyu family, although I don't want to resolve it, for the sake of the 9 regions world, it'll be best if it can be resolved, said Night Sorrow. After making some arrangements, Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei rushed to Tianji Tower. He had to communicate with Tianji Tower. After all, the 9 regions world was in a difficult situation. It was best to make as many preparations as possible. The 6th update has arrived, please be more tolerant, do not directly open your mouth to attack. At this moment, in Qingtian City, Jiyu family's mansion, Jiyu Hao kicked a woman out of the room. Night Sorrow, I'll definitely kill you. Sikong Chuyu is mine. Jiyu Hao roared angrily after kicking the woman out of the room. How, this has become a sore point for you. You can't go on like this. Jiyu Fenglan appeared in front of Jiyu Hao's room. Grandfather, this isn't a sore point. It's a motivation. For this goal, I'll work hard to cultivate. When I become a high-level venerable, I'll kill him, said Jiyu Hao through gritted teeth. Chapter 809. Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei entered the secret tower of Tianji Tower. The big shots of Tianji Tower were all there, including the Grand Elder. Grand Elder, I'm sorry. Night Sorrow bowed to the Grand Elder. Yi Shang, Grand Elder has already spoken to Martial Uncle. You don't have to apologize. Martial Uncle is already very happy that you can still think of him after 3 years, said Grand Elder. Grand Elder can understand. Night Sorrow is very sincere. Night Sorrow nodded. Sit down and talk. I think you have something to say. Xia Lanjun pointed at the chair next to Lin Yuandao. I learned something when I went to the Heaven Sealing Hall. Tianji Tower was founded by the Sage King of the Void Dao. Do Grand Elder and Lord K know about the Void Dao Sky? Night Sorrow asked Xia Lanjun and Lin Yuandao. You know about the Void Dao Sky? Lin Yuandao looked at Night Sorrow with some surprise. It seems that Lord K knows about it. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so surprised. Night Sorrow looked at Lin Yuandao's expression and knew the answer. The people here are the core of Tianji Tower. Lord K, please tell us. Xia Lanjun nodded to Lin Yuandao. Lin Yuandao looked at them and said, the Void Dao Sky is Tianji Tower's biggest secret. Only the K Lords are qualified to know about it. It's a small world. It's the place where Tianji Tower retreats at the most critical moment. In other words, as long as the Void Dao Sky exists, Tianji Tower will not be destroyed. We have to speed up the construction. That way, even if the 9 zones suffer a disaster, Tianji Tower will still have a place to stand, said Night Sorrow. I'll take care of that. Yi Shang, don't be too stressed. Also, you can make decisions about the Empyrean Terminus Tower. There are some things you can decide. If you want to fight, the Empyrean Terminus Tower will be your shield, said Xia Lanjun. We want to fight. Night Sorrow then said that he wanted to declare war on the Profound Mysteries realm and that Yi Linghuan had gone to investigate. Alright, Xia Lanjun said. We can fight whenever we want. Right now, the realm of Eastern Xian, the realm of Northern Sea, the realm of Unbounded Desolation, the realm of Grand Clarity, and the realm of Southern Li are all under our control. The realm of Sanyuan and the realm of Taiyue don't have much battle prowess. The Qingtian domain is currently the problem with Ji Yu's clan. Lord K. Lord, can you help me arrange a meeting with them? I'll go talk to them. If it can be resolved, I'm willing to do so. In the face of the greater good, personal grudges are nothing. I'm willing to take a step back, said Night Sorrow. Alright, I'll go arrange it now. Wait for the news. Lin Yuandao stood up and left the secret tower. Night Sorrow, you've done well. You've looked at the big picture. Others will only admire your magnanimity. A benevolent person must have a heart of forgiveness. Xia Lanjun looked at Night Sorrow with admiration. An hour later, Lin Yuandao returned. He told everyone that Ji Yu Fenglan and the elders of Ji Yu's clan were waiting at Tianji Tower's Qingtian City branch. I won't be going. K Lord, Wu K Lord, and Tai Shu K Lord, accompany Night Sorrow. It's necessary to resolve the conflict, but we can't wrong Night Sorrow, said Xia Lanjun to Lin Yuandao, Wu Lingfei, and Tai Shu Quebec. Then, under Lin Yuandao's lead, the 4 of them arrived at Tianji Tower's Qingtian City branch. In the lobby of Tianji Tower's branch, Jiyu Fenglan sat in the middle on the left. There were several people standing behind him, including Ji Yuhao. After Yi Shang and the other three entered, they also sat down across from the others. Lin Yuandao, I want to know something. Is Tianji Tower involved in this matter? Jiyu Fenglan looked at Lin Yuandao. Tianji Tower is the middleman this time, said Lin Yuandao. Since Tianji Tower is the middleman, then it's easy to talk about it. Night Sorrow, what do you mean? Jiyu Fenglan's eyes were filled with hostility as he looked at Wu Lingfei, then at Night Sorrow. The 9 regions are unstable right now. It's best if we can turn hostility into friendship. After all, the civil war will consume the strength of the 9 regions, said Night Sorrow. If you want to resolve it, then hand over Sikong Chiyu. You must hand him over. Ji Yuhao pointed at Night Sorrow and roared. Pa! One of Night Sorrow's armrests shattered. Suppressing his anger, Night Sorrow looked at Jiyu Fenglan. Patriarch Jiyu, is this your Jiyu clan's intention? This is my young master's sore point. If you want to resolve it, then it's best to resolve it. Jiyu Fenglan supported Ji Yuhao's point of view. From today onwards, I, Night Sorrow, and your Jiyu clan will not rest until one of us is dead. Take this. Night Sorrow stood up, his robe fluttering in the wind. He was extremely angry. Just one woman. Jiyu clan can give you 10 outstanding women. Jiyu Fenglan looked at Night Sorrow and said. Scram. Night Sorrow waved his hand and smashed the tea table in front of him into pieces. Jiyu Fenglan, Night Sorrow wants to resolve the conflict, but you're digging your own grave. Wu Lingfei was also angry because Jiyu clan had no bottom line. Let's see what you're going to say. Ha, is that so? I know that with your help, the Yeyue clan killed the 7-star saint. But let me tell you, because of the influence of the overall situation of the 9 regions, the golden light that filled the sky attracted the attention of our Jiyu clan's great ancestor. Now, the great ancestor of the Jiyu clan has returned from the central state prefecture. If you want to fight, then attack and try. Jiyu Fenglan laughed loudly and left the Heaven's Terminus Tower with his men. Night Sorrow closed his eyes and exhaled, calming himself down. Negotiating with trash. I'm asking for humiliation. Let's fight. Later, I'll ask our spies in Jiyu clan and see what cultivation base their ancestor has. Lin Yuandao said with a cold face. The young master of Tianji Tower had lowered himself to negotiate with Jiyu clan. Lin Yuandao couldn't accept such humiliation. After Lin Yuandao left, Night Sorrow still hadn't calmed down. He knew that being impulsive wouldn't solve the problem. In addition, his impulsiveness would involve a lot of things, such as the Night Moon dynasty behind him, Tianji Tower, Eastern Profound Region, and so on. Night Sorrow, wait for the news. If we can't deal with that guy, then I'll ask Long Xianqing to come out. After all, he owes you a favor. Wu Lingfei could understand the anger in Night Sorrow's heart. If Xueshi can't deal with the opponent's saint, then I'll pay the price to ask Long Xianqing to come out. I'll definitely vent my anger. Night Sorrow nodded. Then Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei returned to the city in the sky. However, he went directly to the lake to cultivate and didn't tell anyone about it. Night Sorrow casually ate 2 mouthfuls of dinner and went to the secret cultivation room. What's wrong? He's not in a good mood. Sikong Chiyu looked in the direction of Night Sorrow's secret cultivation room and said. Wu Lingfei looked at the girls, nodded to Yu Qing, and went to her own pavilion. He's been wronged. I'll see how it goes later. Wu Lingfei knew that Jiyu clan had really angered Night Sorrow this time. Otherwise, Night Sorrow wouldn't have asked for Long Xuanqing's help. Chapter 8-10. 6 days later, Lin Yuandao came to the city in the sky to see Night Sorrow. At the same time, he told Night Sorrow that he didn't know the name of the old ancestor of the Jiyu family. He claimed to be King Ji, who had become famous earlier than Xia Longjun. He was very likely to be a high-level saint. Thank you, Master Quebec. I understand. Knight Sorrow cupped his hands to Lin Yuandao. How do you plan to fight? Tianji Tower will fully cooperate with you. Lin Yuandao expressed his stance. The Empyrean Peak Tower would not tolerate bullying the young master of the Empyrean Peak Tower. I'll think about it first. If there's a need, I'll inform Master K, Knight Sorrow said. Lin Yuandao left. Knight Sorrow sat on the wooden boat and took out a jar of wine. At the same time, he transferred Xueshi out of the space-time pagoda. At this time, Wu Lingfei and Yu Qing came. They knew that Lin Yuandao had come. The appearance of a saint brought a strong sense of opportunity. Knight Sorrow nodded to Wu Lingfei and Yu Qing. He looked at Xueshi and asked, "How much do you know about King Ji?" "Not much different from my peak. I've seen him once. At that time, we were both peak venerables. Then, 200 years later, I became a saint. After becoming a saint, my cultivation speed has been maintained at a high speed. There's no reason for him to cultivate faster than me," Xueshi said. Knight Sorrow lowered his head and thought about what to do next. He wouldn't take this lying down. "Knight Sorrow, I'll go and see what that guy's cultivation level is. After I find out, you can make a decision." After saying that, Xueshi flashed and left the lake. If the other party is strong, she will be in danger, Wu Lingfei looked at Knight Sorrow and said. "No, she has cultivated the wind essence body and can use the wind essence escape. It's almost impossible to hurt or kill her," Knight Sorrow said. Wu Lingfei nodded. She knew what was going on with Xueshi, as well as her talent. Yu Qing asked Knight Sorrow what had happened. Knight Sorrow thought for a moment and then told Yu Qing. "You've gone too far." After hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Yu Qing's face turned pale with anger. "Mother, don't worry. If this Ji Wangsheng is strong, I'll go talk to Long Xiansheng and ask him to step forward. If not, I'll just wait. Xueshi's strength is rising quickly as well." Knight Sorrow said. Yu Qing nodded her head. She knew that they were currently competing with the best of their strength. Night Moon did not have any high-level saints, which was his weakness. 4 days later, Xueshi returned. She had investigated thoroughly and found that King Saint Ji was a 7-star saint. His cultivation was comparable to hers back then. A 7-star saint is not a big problem. He can even fight against Supreme Elder Xie. Defeating him is not a problem. The key is whether or not he can be killed, Wu Lingfei said. Cool Unique and, NK He All D is T Pirated 0N, Night Sorrow, I'm sorry. I'm not his opponent now. My cultivation can't be raised in a short time. Xueshi said apologetically. Don't worry. Go back and rest first. Night Sorrow sent Xueshi back into the Time Pagoda. At this time, Lin Yuandao and Xia Longjun had also arrived at Sky City and the lake. Night Sorrow, what do you plan to do? I can fight. This is too much. Xia Longjun expressed her attitude. Xia Longjun had always been committed to the peace of the 9 regions, and she had done so over the years. Yi Shang was magnanimous enough to resolve the grudges, and she was very gratified. She was the first to find out that Yi Shang had been humiliated. I plan to see Long Xuancheng's opinion. If I do, I'll kill him. Night Sorrow said. Xia Longjun nodded because she was not confident in killing King Saint Ji. After that, Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei left Sky City and went directly to Eastern Xian region. When the two of them arrived at the Eastern Ice Field, Long Xiancheng appeared in front of the two of them. Is there a problem? Long Xiancheng looked at Wu Lingfei and Night Sorrow and asked. Wu Lingfei was the region lord of Eastern Xian region, and Night Sorrow was the most outstanding youth in Eastern Xian region. Both of them were highly valued by Long Xiancheng. Now that both of them were here, Long Xiancheng naturally knew that there was a problem. Senior, I would like to ask you to kill someone for me. I can accept the price. Night Sorrow said. Let's not talk about the price. As long as you don't lose out, and as long as the other party deserves to die, I'll do it. Long Xianqing said. Before Night Sorrow said anything, Wu Lingfei said the reason. To think that they would dare to bully the people of the Eastern Profound region. How interesting. This seat is willing to take action. Long Xianqing spoke and explained the reason. Night Sorrow had a taboo title, and naturally, he had the luck of the 9 regions. Helping Night Sorrow would only bring him benefits. Long Xianqing did not agree at first because he was worried that Night Sorrow would lose out. He could not help Night Sorrow and hurt his own virtue. But now that he knew that Night Sorrow was not wrong, he was naturally willing to help. Long Xianqing then told Night Sorrow that he did not need to worry about King Saint Ji. After 7 days, Night Sorrow could lead people to attack Ji Yu's family. Night Sorrow took out 3 Saint Spirit stones and said, I can't let Senior work for nothing. Please accept this small gift. You little brat, you really think highly of me. But I don't need it now. You should keep it. Long Xuanqing's body flashed, and he disappeared in the direction of Eastern Xian City. Night Sorrow, you can rest assured. Western Nether region's heavenly underworld saint is very powerful. He's a peak saint, but he was still suppressed by Long Xianqing. King Saint Ji is only a 7-star saint, so he can die. Wu Lingfei said. In that case, I'll go back and prepare for the attack. Night Sorrow wanted nothing more than to kill Ji Yuhao immediately. Ji Yuhao had been nurtured by Ji Yu's family, and his strength had risen at a terrifying speed. He was already a 6th level venerable. But Night Sorrow was not afraid. He had even defeated 7th level venerables in the Heaven Sealing Great Hall. To others, Ji Yuhao's 6th level venerable was very terrifying. Even 7th level venerables, or even 8th level venerables, would not be willing to face him, because their attributes would be suppressed, and they would not be able to fight. However, the situation was different for Yi Shang. Ji Yuhao was a level 6 venerables, but he was only slightly stronger than an ordinary level 6 venerables. Ji Yuhao's element advantage was useless against Yi Shang. On the contrary, Ji Yuhao's element advantage was suppressed by Yi Shang. Auntie Fei will also mobilize some people. Ji Yuhao was arrogant that day because he thought the force behind him was stronger than you. You're not weaker than him. You have Auntie Fei, Eastern Xian region, Tianji Tower, and Night Moon Dynasty. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow, then pulled Night Sorrow and flew towards Eastern Xian City. In Sky City, Yu Qing, who knew about Night Sorrow's humiliation, informed her husband. Yi Wuyo was furious when he heard about it. Yi Linghuan was not there, so Yi Wuyo contacted the emperors and told them about his intention to fight. Chapter 8:11. Thank you, uncles, for your support of Wuyo. Night Sorrow has suffered too much. As his father, I can't bear to let him bear it alone. It's our family that has dragged Night Moon down. Yi Wuyo pulled Yu Qing and bowed to the 4 emperors. Wuyo, if you choose to bear with it, then Grandpa will be disappointed. Perhaps that's the overall situation, but you've lost the backbone of the Night Moon people. So what if you know you're no match for them? We Night Moon people dare to fight the world. Yi Shinxian, the previous leader of the Night Moon, said. Where's Night Sorrow? He's gone again. Why didn't he tell the family about such an important matter? The family can make the decision for him. Yi Xinyue looked at Yu Qing and said. He went to the Eastern Xian domain with Lord Wu Kei to ask for Long Xuanqing's opinion. Tianji Tower supports him. Yu Qing said. With the support of the Extreme Heaven Tower, that goes without saying. That blue-robed everlasting saint has no problem suppressing a 7-star saint. Yi Shinhuang said. Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei arrived at the Empyrean Tower and saw Xie Lanjun and Lin Yuandao there. The other giants were nowhere to be seen. The Tianji Tower's men are ready. This time, they've joined forces with the Sikong clan and several Qingtian domain families. After the war starts, we'll wipe out Ji Yu's family from the Qingtian domain. Lin Yuandao said. Lin Yuandao had discussed with Xia Lanjun and a few others and decided to support the Sikong clan of Bailing City to take over the Qingtian domain. Therefore, they made some arrangements. Senior Long Xiansheng has decided to help me. He'll deal with Ji Wangsheng. We'll start the war in 7 days. Night Sorrow said. The men of Dongxian City and Tianji Tower of the Eastern Xian Domain will gather in Taiyue Domain in a day. Wu Lingfei revealed her deployment. The Night Moon Empire is not good at the Saint level. Apart from that, it is the best in the 9 zones in all other aspects. That way, there is no need to mobilize more people. That would be making a mountain out of a molehill. Xia Lanjun said. After deciding that the battle would begin in 7 days, Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei returned to Sky City together. After entering the mansion, Night Sorrow was met with Night God Thunder's furious roar. This was because there was something Night Sorrow hadn't told his family. Shang, you are the young master of Night Moon. You can give up everything for the family, and the family can also be your most solid support. Even if the family is destroyed, you will not hesitate. This is the tradition of Night Moon. In the future, if you have any problems, just tell the family. This time, I'll have to trouble Master Wu Kei again. Yi Shinxian stood up and said a few words to Night Sorrow, then cupped his hands towards Wu Lingfei. You are too polite, Emperor Shinxian. Night Sorrow is my family, Wu Lingfei said. You are back. That means you have a plan. Tell everyone. Yi Wuyo asked Night Sorrow to sit beside him. Then, Night Sorrow explained the current situation. You solved it yourself again. The family has become a decoration again, Night God Thunder muttered. No, we still need Night Moon to fight. We won't give them a chance to breathe. We will directly wipe out Ji Yu's family from the 9 zones world. Night Sorrow's hatred grew. He had kindly asked for reconciliation, but he had been humiliated. How could he not hate and be angry? Ha, Shang, you took us to the Heaven Sealing Palace and used up a lot of spirit stones. This time, I will get them back for you, Night God Moon said with a smile. Night God Moon had never married. Night Moon's children were her children. After seeing Night Sorrow, she especially liked him. Thank you, Great Aunt. A smile appeared on Night Sorrow's face. He felt very warm in his heart. No matter how dangerous the situation was, the family was standing behind him. After chatting for a while, Night Moon's emperors went to work. Yi Wuyo also left to gather people. Then, Yu Qing told Night Sorrow that even though the situation was not good, Night Moon's emperors had decided to support him to the end. She wanted Night Sorrow to believe in the family. The Yi family was the most united family. Mother, it's all my fault. I brought trouble to Night Sorrow and the family. Sikong Chuyu, who had been standing beside Yang Lei and Aoi, wiped the tears from the corner of his eyes and said. How is it your fault? It's because you are too outstanding that they wanted to take advantage of you. Don't worry, no one will dare to do that in the future. Yu Qing held Sikong Chuyu's hand and said. Thank you, Mother. Sikong Chuyu nodded. Then, everyone chatted and drank tea. With Long Xuanqing's help, the direction of the war was basically set. There was nothing for them to worry about. Chuyu, 9th senior sister, 6th senior sister, when you improve your cultivation base, pay attention to your actual combat power and the improvement of your soul power. 3 years later, I will bring all of you to the heaven-conferring palace to take the test for the title. Night Sorrow said while drinking tea. Great. If there's a chance, we must seize it. Yang Lei said excitedly. She and Sikong Chuyu were both at the peak of the 8th void inquiry stage. But I can't. It's still too early for me. Aoi was anxious. Don't worry. It's still 3 years. 6th senior sister can do it. Night Sorrow said with a smile. H+8 After that, Sikong Chuyu told him that Ling Long was a little depressed because she did not get the title for the past few days. Night Sorrow thought for a while and went to the martial arts arena. In the arena, everyone was cultivating. The one who worked the hardest and was almost in a state of madness was Ling Long. Gather! Night Sorrow shouted. As soon as Night Sorrow's voice fell, the members of the god-slaying squad quickly gathered together. Ling Long, come out. Night Sorrow called out to Ling Long, I'm sorry. I've disappointed the leader. I've embarrassed the god-slaying squad. Ling Long, who took 2 steps forward, said. The current you is the one who has disappointed me. What's wrong with failing once? If you know where you're lacking, just cultivate it. It's not difficult to defeat the enemy. What's difficult is to defeat yourself. Your current situation shows that your mental state isn't up to standard. Night Sorrow looked at Ling Long and said. Ling Long will continue to work hard. Ling Long bowed slightly to Night Sorrow. There will be battles in the next few days. Can you still participate in them? Night Sorrow looked at Ling Long, of course. What kind of battle will it be? Who will I be fighting? Ling Long's eyes lit up. She felt stifled and wanted to vent. I've been humiliated, so I've decided to fight back. I need my brothers and sisters to fight alongside me. Does anyone have any questions? Night Sorrow glanced at Ling Long and then called out to the rest of the god-slaying squad. The response to Night Sorrow was the sound of armor being knocked and cheered. Then everyone should prepare for battle. Also, I can see that you've all been cultivating impatiently. Your mental state isn't right. 9th Senior Apprentice Sister, Chuyu, have everyone practice sculpting over the next few days to adjust your mental state, Night Sorrow said to Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu. After Night Sorrow left, the members of the god-slaying team took out their own carving tools. Something has been wrong these past few days. Everyone was provoked by Yun Huang and Liang Yu's titles. Now that we heard the leader's words, we understood, said Ho Jian. Chapter 8:12. It doesn't matter who it is. What's important is that he must die. We have to fight back. The person who insulted Captain is dead, said Yun Huang. When he heard that Night Sorrow had been insulted, Yun Huang was furious. His brother being insulted was no different from him being insulted. Let's just get ready to fight. Xue Ling waved his sword. Q over you, I think we should all focus on carving. You've already lost the calmness you should have, said Yang Lei. Night Sorrow and Xue were cultivating by the lake. Night Sorrow wasn't far from the 5th star Venerable Realm, while Xue was also trying to break through to the 5th star Venerable Realm. Their cultivations had improved very quickly, but they didn't suffer from the drawbacks of having an unstable foundation. Besides tempering themselves in actual combat, their cultivations had been tempered and stabilized in the spatial storms of the realm ocean, so their foundations were extremely solid. All this time, my goal in life has been to suppress some people and have more authority in the 9 realms. But after meeting you, I realized that my previous thoughts were too shallow and childish. There are too many wonderful things waiting for us, said Xue as she looked at Night Sorrow, who had finished his meditation and stood up. Yes, after dealing with the Qingtian realm, only the Western Nether realm is left. We can't follow the 9 realms' footsteps. But this matter can't be rushed, said Night Sorrow. After entering Supreme Sky City and learning some things, Night Sorrow had a big dream in his heart. He wanted to take revenge, but because of his strength, he couldn't realize it. First of all, if he wanted to unify the 9 realms, he needed prestige and deterrence. And if he wanted prestige and deterrence, he needed strength. On the 5th day of Night Sorrow's return, Lin Yuandao came with Long Xiansheng. That guy, this king has taken care of him for you. Previously, this king said that he would get you an ancient book, but after sorting it out, it wasn't very suitable. This time, after killing King Ji, I did get something. One of them is a cultivation technique. it's the central state scripture, which can be cultivated to the Saint King realm. It's the ancient book of the central state Saint King. The other one is a soul doppelganger, it's called the 3 Yuan doppelganger. However, if you want to cultivate it, you must be careful and act according to your strength. Cultivating a soul doppelganger is very harmful to your soul. Thank you, Senior Long Xiansheng. You don't need the scripture. You can give me a copy, said Night Sorrow. I don't need it. Our Dragon Turtle clan has a talent cultivation technique. Long Xiansheng shook his head. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow understood that Long Xiansheng really didn't need it. Then, he kept the scripture. You have a good place here. I will not disturb you in the future. Arrange the battle, said Long Xiansheng. After Long Xiansheng left, Night Sorrow informed the current leaders of Night Moon, Yi Wuyo, and Yishan Xian, to gather the troops. In addition, he communicated with Lin Yuandao and Wu Lingfei. Night Moon would be the main attacker, and the other two groups would kill from the periphery. As for the resources obtained by Night Moon, they would be divided equally with Tianji Tower and Eastern Xian region. That's not necessary. It's hard to fight the headquarters. Each side can collect the resources of the cities. Lin Yuandao said. We are fighting this war to vent our anger. As for the resources, it doesn't matter. Wu Lingfei also expressed her opinion. At this time, no one would care about the resources. One had to know that Night Sorrow had provided a lot of dragon spirit pills to Tianji Tower and Eastern Xian region. If they were to care about the resources with Night Sorrow, it would be unreasonable. Yi Shang, wait for Auntie Fei. Auntie Fei will make some arrangements and come back with you. Over there is Ji Yu Fenglan, Auntie Fei's old enemy. Auntie Fei wants to kill him personally. Wu Lingfei said to Yi Shang. Then I will wait for Aunt Fei. We will set off when Aunt Fei comes back. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that Wu Lingfei and Ji Yu Fenglan had a deep hatred. At this time, in Ji Yu family's mansion, Ji Yu Fenglan's face was gloomy. How, take the family's juniors and hide first. The other side is really going to fight. The old ancestor left 2 days ago and hasn't come back. The old ancestor is a high-level saint. Is there anyone who can threaten his safety? Ji Yuhao frowned and asked. The everlasting saint of the celestial terminus tower is slightly stronger than the old ancestor. She can't kill him, but she can entangle the old ancestor. In that case, we won't be able to contend with the other saints. The spies reported that they have gathered their forces and are going to fight to the death with all their might. This is something that grandfather didn't expect. Ji Yu Fenglan said with a cold face. Night Sorrow, it's that damned Night Sorrow. Ji Yuhao's face was ferocious, and his hatred for Night Sorrow was monstrous. Before Night Sorrow's name appeared, everything was going smoothly for Ji Yuhao. He could be said to be the son of heaven, and he could get whatever he wanted. But everything changed after Night Sorrow appeared. Ji Yu family was constantly attacked, and now they even had to hide from Night Sorrow's limelight. Take the younger generation of the family to the Central Province Prefecture. Memorize the formation map and the route, then destroy them. Ji Yu Fenglan said to Ji Yuhao. I understand. Ji Yuhao thought for a moment and nodded. He wasn't a brainless person. Also, take Sumu with you. That kid can be trained. He'll be a good assistant. Ji Yu Fenglan waved his hand at Ji Yuhao. In fact, Ji Yu Fenglan knew that he had really gone too far this time. He shouldn't have supported his grandson's unreasonable request. Asking for someone else's woman was a slap in the face, and it wasn't the right attitude to negotiate. Mainly, he had overestimated Ji Wangxing's strength and influence. Ji Yu family's headquarters was in the south of Sky-bearing City. Night Sorrow took Wu Lingfei, Night Moon's 4 emperors, Yi Wuyo and his wife, and the members of the god-slaying team directly to the headquarters of Ji Yu family in Sky-bearing City. Start killing. Night Sorrow shouted. At the same time, he called Xuexi out and told her not to let the key figures of Ji Yu family escape, and not to let any of the members of the team die. They directly rushed to the front of Ji Yu family's main hall. You really dared to come here. Perhaps, our Ji Yu family might not be able to fend off your attack, but you might be able to withstand the revenge of our great ancestor. It's only about a woman, and we won't mention it again. You can leave now, and I'll pretend that nothing happened today. Today, let's forget about it, Ji Fenglan looked at Wu Lingfei and said. He felt that if he showed his attitude, Wu Lingfei and the others would retreat. After all, the deterrence of a high-level saint wasn't fake. Your ancestor's revenge? Ji Fenglan, I was kind enough to negotiate with you, but you actually dared to have designs on my woman. Since you don't want face, then there's nothing more to say. Let Ji Yuhao come out. Today, I want to see how strong a 6th level time saint is, Knight Sorrow said as he waved his reincarnation spear. Chapter 8:13. What did you say? Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Ji Fenglan was stunned. If you don't understand, then I'll say it again. Ji Wangxing died because of your shamelessness, ignorance, and arrogance. You even injured both sides. I won't give your Ji Yu family the chance to do so. Kill. Yi Shan waved his reincarnation spear and gave the order to fight. Following Knight Sorrow's order, Knight Sorrow's people charged in all directions like blooming flowers. You deserve to die. Ji Fenglan waved his long sword and charged towards Knight Sorrow. You're still acting shamelessly at a time like this? I'm your opponent. Wu Lingfei waved her Saint Grade sword and stood in front of Knight Sorrow, then started fighting with Ji Fenglan. Xuexi, check if Ji Yuhao is in Ji Yu family's mansion. If he is, catch him for me. Knight Sorrow shouted to Xuexi, who was standing behind him. Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing didn't move, mainly because they were worried about their son's safety. Father, mother, you should go stretch your muscles too. It won't be easy for anyone to kill me. Knight Sorrow said while watching the battle between Wu Lingfei and Ji Fenglan. JMOI New Chapter A Section are above and Cool X. After hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Yi Wuyo joined the battle and started killing Ji Yu family's cultivators. Yu Qing was still standing beside Knight Sorrow. After a while, Xuexi came back. She shook her head at Knight Sorrow. She didn't find Ji Yuhao. You want to destroy my Ji Yu family? You think too much. My Ji Yu family is prepared for war. We've already moved the core of our family. Just wait for my grandson, a cultivator of the time attribute, to take revenge. Ji Fenglan's cold voice said something that Knight Sorrow didn't expect. He dares to think about my woman. As long as he shows up, I'll definitely kill him. If he doesn't, then he can only live like a dog. Knight Sorrow said coldly. All along, Knight Sorrow felt that he was in a good mood. But this time, he couldn't stay calm. Ji Yu family's young ones were shameless, and the old ones were not virtuous. Therefore, he wanted to kill them all. After a while, the 4 emperors of Night Moon's dynasty came back. They went back and forth in and out of Ji Yu family's mansion. The members of the God-slaying squad also appeared, carrying some boxes. They had trained themselves to the point of perfection when it came to robbing. Xuexi, be careful. Don't let him escape. Yi Shang reminded Xuexi when he saw Wu Lingfei suppressing Ji Fenglan. Xuexi's swords, Xuexi said. Xue. Ji Fenglan's element was very strong. It was the power of space, while Wu Lingfei's was the life element. There was no suppression between the two. In terms of cultivation, Ji Fenglan had just entered the saint realm and was a 1-star saint. Wu Lingfei was already a 2-star saint. They were not on the same level at all. As for fighting skills, Wu Lingfei used to be an invincible venerable, and her speed was extremely fast. In addition, she also had the mutated frozen space, which was a combination of life and ice attributes. It was extremely powerful, and had completely restricted Ji Yufenglan. If Ji Yufenglan didn't have the power of space, which allowed him to break the frozen space, he would have been killed long ago. After a quarter of an hour, Ji Yufenglan had consumed too much energy. His body was continuously hit by Wu Lingfei's sword. He wanted to run, but Wu Lingfei's frozen space was the bane of his speed. Wu Lingfei had the advantage in terms of cultivation base, fighting skills, and mid-grade saint weapon. Therefore, Ji Yufenglan was no match for her at all. After holding on for a short while, Wu Lingfei's sword chi penetrated his chest, and even the dragon bones on his back were broken. Ji Yufenglan, who had fallen to the ground, glared at Yi Shang with eyes full of anger. Xueshi sighed. She had originally wanted to help Ji Yufenglan, but she hadn't expected such an outcome. Save me. Hearing Xueshi's sigh, Ji Yufenglan raised his head. He recognized Xueshi from her voice. I gave you the path to become a saint, but you cut off your own path. You shouldn't have gone against Night Sorrow, and you shouldn't have insulted Night Sorrow. I came this time to kill you, but there's no need for me to do anything, said Xueshi. Why is that? Ji Yufenglan didn't understand. There aren't so many whys in the world. Since you cut off your own path, I had no choice. Xueshi turned around, no longer looking at Ji Yufenglan. You invaded my eastern Xian region twice, and now you're insulting my Golden Phoenix family. You're the one who walked into a dead end. Who can you blame? Wu Lingfei's hand trembled, and a beam of sword chi streaked across Ji Yufenglan's head, shattering his spirit sea. Wu Lingfei's arm trembled, and she took Ji Yufenglan's spatial ring and saint crystals. She then threw them to Night Sorrow. She had come to help, so she naturally wouldn't accept spoils of war or resources. Night Sorrow also bent down and took Ji Yufenglan's sword. It was a spatial spirit artifact. The battle had ended, but Night Sorrow wasn't satisfied. He hadn't killed Ji Yuhao. He knew that Ji Yuhao would always be a scourge. However, with the destruction of Ji Yu's family, Ji Yuhao's threat had become smaller and smaller. The members of the God-slaying squad sent all the resources to Night Sorrow. Take a third of the God-slaying squad and leave the rest to the Divine Moon Emperor, said Night Sorrow to Nan Liyue. Yes. Nan Liyue and the two vice-captains of the God-slaying squad nodded. Night Xinyue wanted to say something, but Yi Shinxian stopped her. 2 hours later, Tianji Tower and the Xikong family's people arrived at Ji Yu's family mansion. At this time, the Ji Yu family's forces in the Qingtian region had been wiped out. Father-in-law, you can take over the Ji Yu family's headquarters. However, you have to be careful. Although the older generation of the Ji Yu family has been killed, there are still some survivors, especially a 6th rank venerable with the time attribute. If he appears, inform me, said Night Sorrow to Xikong Tianding. Don't worry. The Qingtian region will put out a bounty for the survivors of the Ji Yu family. As long as they appear, they will be killed, said Xikong Tianding. The battle strength of a time venerable is astonishing. It's best to arrange for experts to guard this place, said Night Sorrow to the Xikong family once again before returning to Sky City with his people. After arriving at Sky City, Night Sorrow handed the space attribute Saint Crystal and the space attribute mid-grade spirit artifact to Yi Wuyo. As for what Yi Wuyo would do with it, Night Sorrow didn't care. Sitting on a chair in the mansion, Night Sorrow knocked on the table and pondered. He was thinking about the Ji Yu family. What else do you not understand? Xia Lanjun and Lin Yuandao entered Night Sorrow's mansion. Where is the Central Province Prefecture? I think it's where the survivors of the Ji Yu family are hiding. I must kill Ji Yuhao. As for the Central Province Prefecture, it must be under my control. It's related to where we can retreat in the future war, said Night Sorrow. That's the absolute core secret of the Ji Yu family. It's not something ordinary members can know. It's just like how important Night Moon Sea is to the Night Moon Dynasty, and how important the Su Dao Sky is to Tianji Tower, said Xia Lanjun. If we don't solve this problem, it will always be a hidden danger, said Night Sorrow. Chapter 8:14. Tianji Tower will investigate this matter, said Lin Yuandao. Zkufa looking at Night Sorrow, Lin Yuandao felt that Night Sorrow had changed. Night Sorrow now had the aura of a leader, and he was decisive in killing. His aura had already been formed. After chatting for a while, Tianji Tower's people left. Night Moon Dynasty's people also returned to Night Moon City. Eldest brother, we shouldn't have taken the resources this time. Why didn't you let me speak, said Yi Xinyue when they arrived at the main hall of the unfalling Night Moon City. Haven't you noticed? Shang-Er's king aura is becoming denser and denser. He already has the aura of a leader. What we need to do now is support him and let him become a true king. His words are just orders, said Yi Shenxian. That's true. He's changed a bit from when we first met him. Yi Xinyue nodded. Although he's young, he can already influence the majority of the 9 regions. This is something no one else can do. Even the leader of a faction can't do this, said Yi Shenxian. The constant battles had allowed Night Sorrow's strength to increase. His aura had also begun to form. Xia Lanjun had also told Lin Yuandao about this matter in the secret tower of the Empyrean Terminus Tower. They couldn't hurt Yi Shang's momentum. Whatever decision Yi Shang made, the Empyrean Terminus Tower would fully support it. Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei were drinking tea on a wooden boat by the lake. Aunt Fei, thank you for this, said Night Sorrow as he poured a cup of tea for Wu Lingfei. No need to be so courteous. You're from the Eastern Xian region. Although you didn't say it explicitly, you're no different from the Vice City Lord or Vice Region Lord. Whatever you do, the Eastern Xian region will stand behind you, right or wrong, said Wu Lingfei to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that this was Wu Lingfei's support for him, right or wrong. Right now, in the 9 domains world, only the Western Nether region is unstable. They're not on the same side as everyone else, but there's nothing we can do about it, Night Sorrow said. That's not a problem. Long Xiancheng has made a request. If there's a war involving the 9 regions, Heavenly Underworld Saint has agreed to participate. Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that he had to increase his strength. He didn't know when a world war would break out. Auntie Fei, I can no longer use my soul avatar. I plan to continue cultivating my soul avatar. Long Xiancheng gave me an ancient book on the 3 Yuan avatars. In other words, I can cultivate 3 soul avatars. I can still cultivate 1 more. Night Sorrow spoke his thoughts. Can your spiritual strength handle it? Asked Wu Lingfei worriedly. My soul is in a perfect state. The effects from last time have already been repaired, Night Sorrow said. Wu Lingfei nodded. She felt that if there were no drawbacks, he could cultivate it. She could help protect Night Sorrow. After talking with Wu Lingfei, Night Sorrow picked the largest Void Dao stone and began to pour his spiritual strength into it. According to the 3 Yuan Avatar's foundation, he used the secret technique Wu Lingfei had taught him to cultivate the latter half. Wu Lingfei controlled the power of the law of life to envelop the entire wooden boat. The pain of splitting one's soul was unbearable. However, Night Sorrow had experienced it once before, so he could endure it. After pouring half of his spiritual strength into the Void Dao Stone, Night Sorrow connected with the Void Dao Stone's energy and began to condense his soul avatar. In the evening, Sikong Chuyu and the others saw that Night Sorrow hadn't returned, so they went to find him. Seeing this situation, they understood. Wu Lingfei assisted Night Sorrow's cultivation while telling the 3 women that Night Sorrow was fine. He just needed more time. After half a day, Night Sorrow's soul avatar formed once more. Under the Void Dao Stone's energy, it began to naturally condense. The pale Night Sorrow stood up and smiled at Wu Lingfei. Success, but I don't know how long it'll take. You're incomparably weak right now. You should hurry up and recover. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow's pale face and said. Aunt Fei, tell my mother and Chuyu that I'm going into seclusion. This time, it'll be longer. Night Sorrow said. Wu Lingfei nodded. She knew that Night Sorrow would need some time to recover. Nodding at Wu Lingfei, Night Sorrow's body flashed and entered the space-time pagoda. Hurry up and recover. Your body won't be able to take it if you continue like this. Shueshi said. Night Sorrow hadn't closed his spiritual strength, so she knew what was going on with Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow communicated with Shao Kong about his situation. I'll transfer you to another level so that you can recover faster. Shao Kong expressed his opinion. Night Sorrow nodded at Shueshi and then let Shao Kong do it. As time and space changed, Night Sorrow's surroundings changed. The spatial energy was very dense. This is the 70th level. The energy here is about the same as the 60th level. It's just that there's more spatial energy. However, the spiritual strength here is also very dense. The most important thing is that there's time energy here. I can change the flow of time here. In the past, I was afraid that you wouldn't be able to take it. Now, you can. What do you mean by changing the flow of time? Night Sorrow asked, puzzled. The flow of time here is doubled. 2 days here is 1 day outside. Because of the time energy here, it can only be done to this extent. After you become a saint, you can enter above the 70th level. At that time, the change in the flow of time will be even stronger. It's really heaven-defying. Then I'll start cultivating. My spiritual strength has been greatly damaged. It's very uncomfortable. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he took out the spiritual jade stool and began to meditate. Shao Kong controlled the space-time pagoda to send energy to Night Sorrow to repair his soul. Night Sorrow began to cultivate day and night as he absorbed the energy to improve and replenish his spiritual strength. Yi Wuyo gave the spatial saint crystal to his family, but the emperors let him use it so that he could enter the saint realm as soon as possible. The spatial spirit artifact was also assigned to him. In fact, everyone knew that it was given to Yi Wuyo by Night Sorrow. The members of the god-slaying team were also working hard to cultivate. Yu Qing was also in seclusion. She had the mutated source stone and dragon spirit pill that Night Sorrow had given her. These were all treasures that could quickly improve her strength. On an island in the realm sea of the Qingtian domain, there was a special space. That was the Central State Prefecture. In the Central State Prefecture, Ji Yuhao roared at the sky. He already knew that the Ji Yu family had been destroyed and that their patriarch and patriarch had been killed. It could be said that he was now the person with the highest power in the Ji Yu family and also the person with the highest cultivation. After roaring angrily for a while, Ji Yuhao did not reflect on the fact that he had forced Night Sorrow into this matter. Instead, he hated Night Sorrow even more. He planned to kill Night Sorrow when he became a high-level venerable. On this day, Yi Linghuan appeared on the night moon with a cold expression. Seeing his son's ugly expression, Yi Shenxian asked, Linghuan, what's the problem? There's a problem. The profound mysteries realm acted first and has already occupied hundreds of thousands of miles of the western nether domain. Their army is continuously sent over, Yi Linghuan said. Chapter 8:15. Life is hard to predict. I thought that the 9 regions world would be stable for a while after destroying the Ji Yu family. I didn't expect something like this to happen again, frowned Night Shenxian. What happened while I was away? Yi Linghuan asked in surprise. What happened? Yi Linghuan asked. Night Xinyue then told him what had happened while Yi Linghuan was gone. Damn it, how dare they insult my young master Night Moon. Our spies will also go out to investigate. As long as there are any survivors of the Ji Yu family, our Night Moon will kill them, said Yi Linghuan angrily. Night Shenxian told Yi Linghuan that they were already doing that. Now that something so big has happened in the western nether region, we need to notify the Tianji Tower. We need to see how we can gather the 9 regions world's forces and stabilize the situation, said Yi Linghuan to his family before leaving Night Moon. Night Sorrow didn't care about what was happening in the outside world. He was doing his best to recover from the damage to his soul caused by cultivating a spiritual avatar. This time, the space-time pagoda was truly heaven-defying. Not only could it help Night Sorrow cultivate his spiritual strength, but it could also provide him with energy to recover his soul. Half a month passed in the outside world. Night Sorrow's soul had once more returned to the brink of perfection. Night Sorrow decided that no matter what happened in the future, he would never cultivate a spiritual avatar again. The feeling of having a flaw in his soul was terrible, and it was very difficult to repair it. You can do it twice, but not thrice. You can't do this again in the future. I feel that if you have any more flaws in your soul, it'll be very difficult to repair it to perfection. That will affect your future accomplishments, reminded Shao Kong. Night Sorrow smiled. He really didn't want to do this anymore. In truth, it wasn't something he could do just because he wanted to. A cultivation technique that could cultivate a third spiritual avatar had never appeared in the Nine Regions world. Many cultivators didn't cultivate a spiritual avatar either. First of all, cultivating a spiritual avatar required powerful spiritual strength, a cultivation technique, and the most important thing was a medium. A medium was too difficult to obtain. After spending another 3 days, Night Sorrow had cultivated his soul power to the Great Circle. Next, he planned to rush his chi cultivation to the 5th class Venerable Realm. During this period of time, Night Sorrow had not used any resources. His true energy had been steadily advancing, and there was no problem with the solidity and control of it. Using a day's time, Yishang's cultivation had successfully risen to the 5th rank supremacy. With the problem of his soul and true energy resolved, Night Sorrow returned to the 60th floor of the Space-Time Treasure Pagoda. After sizing up Night Sorrow, Shueshi said in surprise, "Not only did you recover, but you also increased your cultivation by 1 level. The effect of your cultivation is very good." "I'm fine. How are you doing?" Night Sorrow asked Shueshi. "You're not the only one who has leveled up. I have also recovered 1 level. Right now, my combat power is on par with my prime. However, there is much more room for growth," Shueshi said smilingly. Night Sorrow smiled. Shueshi's increase in cultivation was a good thing for him. It would be a great help. After drinking the tea that Shueshi had brewed, Night Sorrow smiled. "It would be even better if you could help me cultivate my true energy." "Who says I can't? It's just that I haven't tried it before," Shueshi said. After that, the two of them went on the big boat. In reality, the effect of their cultivation exceeded their expectations. As Night Sorrow's true energy was too overbearing, Shueshi could only help nourish it. She could not refine the impurities and yang energy that were taken away and could only discard them. "It's not good for you. It's really useless," Night Sorrow said. He was not someone who would harm others for his own benefit. This was not what he wanted. "It's nothing. It won't waste much time. When I cultivate my body in the future, I'll help you nourish it." Shueshi did not mind. After that, Shueshi took a bath in the Space-Time Treasure Pagoda. Night Sorrow directly entered the lake and swam for a while before returning to the wooden boat. After washing up, Shueshi also came out of the Space-Time Treasure Pagoda and Night Sorrow returned to the mansion. "Congratulations, Mother." After entering the mansion, Night Sorrow saw Yuqing and cupped his hands towards Yuqing. That was because Yuqing was already an 8th level venerable. "Son, you're also a 5th level venerable. Not bad. Cultivating an avatar has a great impact on your soul. You have to recover well," Yuqing said to Night Sorrow. "Mother, I've already fully recovered," Night Sorrow said with a smile. "Your condition is not bad. Our family is strong, so we have more ability to protect ourselves." Yuqing nodded. "It's just that my cultivation is lacking," Yin Yan muttered with a smile. "You're still young. Take it slow," Night Sorrow said as he rubbed Yin Yan's head. Night Sorrow then asked about his father's situation. After learning that Yi Wuyo had taken Ji Yufeng Lan's Saint Crystal to break through to the Saint Realm, Night Sorrow felt relieved. In fact, Yi Wuyo was currently a half-step saint and had the ability and opportunity to enter the Saint Realm. Adding on the Saint Crystal that was compatible with his attribute, there would be no problem for him to enter the Saint Realm. While the family was drinking tea together, Yi Linghuan came to Night Sorrow's mansion. 5th level Venerable, not bad. Yi Linghuan nodded to Night Sorrow and sat down. After casually chatting for a while, Yi Linghuan told him about the current situation of the war in Western Nether Territory. The large sects and families of Western Nether Territory were being suppressed and forced to retreat. Isn't there a very strong heavenly underworld saint in Western Nether Territory? Night Sorrow asked with a frown. He hadn't expected the war to come so quickly. The other side has 2 peak saints. Heavenly Underworld Saint couldn't hold on and went out to fight twice, but he was beaten back both times. Yi Linghuan nodded. Then what's the reaction of Tianji Tower? Night Sorrow asked. Yi Linghuan then told Night Sorrow that Tianji Tower's forces had already entered Western Nether Territory and notified Long Xiansheng. That's good. That way, we can stabilize the situation. Night Sorrow thought for a moment. The other side had 2 peak saints, while the other side also had 2 peak saints. They shouldn't be at a disadvantage. It's hard to say, because the other party is really strong. Grandpa got close to the battlefield once, and 3 saints surrounded Grandpa. Fortunately, Grandpa had the spatial crack, so he wasn't killed, said Yi Linghuan. That's too shameless. Night Sorrow was a bit annoyed. Our cool air forever, W long time exempt, F fee look at Z8 small t. After that, Night Sorrow and Yi Linghuan teleported to Western Nether Territory. He wanted to know what was going on. The situation wasn't optimistic because Wu Lingfei wasn't in Sky City. In Eastern Cloud City of the Western Nether region, Yi Shang saw the saints of the 9 regions. Almost all of them were there. Night Sorrow is here. Long Xiansheng nodded to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow greets Long Xiansheng and seniors. Night Sorrow cupped his hands to everyone present. Then let's fight. Heavenly Underworld Saint, we were opponents in the past. This time, we'll join forces and see how strong those 2 peak saints are. Long Xiansheng looked at Heavenly Underworld Saint and said. Thank you. Although I don't get along with others and was looked down on by you and Yi Tian, I'm from the 9 regions. I have the courage to fight to the death for the 9 regions, said the white-haired Heavenly Underworld Saint. Chapter 8:16. Very good. Since you've said that, I'll think highly of you. Long Xiansheng nodded to Heavenly Underworld Saint. Long Xiansheng, do you think you're exaggerating? During the last God's Sealing War, my Dark Island was annihilated, and only a handful of outer disciples survived. Don't doubt the bravery of my Western Nether region's people. Heavenly Underworld Saint glared at Long Xiansheng. So Senior Heavenly Underworld Saint is the successor of the Dark Island? Asked Night Sorrow. What? You know about the Dark Island? Heavenly Underworld Saint looked at Night Sorrow with surprise. Yes. I owe someone a promise to go to the Dark Island. But because I'm busy and don't know much about the Western Nether region, I haven't fulfilled my promise, said Night Sorrow. Don't talk nonsense. The Dark Island is only recorded in the ancient records. After the God's Sealing War, the Dark Island no longer exists. Heavenly Underworld Saint looked at Night Sorrow as if he was a swindler. So that's how it is. Then I can't go to the Dark Island and fulfill my promise to the Dark Spirit Saint. Night Sorrow didn't care about Heavenly Underworld Saint's gaze. What did you say? Heavenly Underworld Saint reached out to grab Night Sorrow. The spatial energy on Yi Shang's body slashed and he dodged a few feet away, causing Heavenly Underworld Saint to grab empty air. What are you doing? Long Xiansheng stood in front of Night Sorrow. Tianji Tower, the Eastern Xian region, the Night Moon Dynasty, and the Northern Sea region's Taishu all unsheathed their weapons. They wouldn't hesitate to fight anyone who dared to touch Night Sorrow. It's a misunderstanding. Put away your weapons. I was just too excited. Heavenly Underworld Saint waved his hand. First you didn't believe him, and now you're saying it's a misunderstanding. Long Xianqing frowned. Why would I attack a child? Asked Heavenly Underworld Saint. Child, he's the junior master of Tianji Tower, the young master of the Night Moon Dynasty. What status does he have in the Eastern Xian region? Long Xianqing looked at Wu Lingfei. Deputy Region Lord, Wu Lingfei said. He can represent the Qingtian region, Xikong Tianding said. It's the same for the North Sea region. The Grand Elder stood beside Night Sorrow. You don't have to work together to attack me, do you? I was a bit emotional because Dark Spirit Saint is not only the most outstanding sage of the Dark Island, but also my ancestor, Sky Underworld Saint said. Senior Heavenly Underworld Saint, the North Sea domain recognizes Night Sorrow, Grand Elder said. If something happens to Night Sorrow, the realm of unbounded desolation will stand up for him, the Flying Tiger Saint said. I've poked a hornet's nest. Sky Underworld Saint looked at Night Sorrow. He didn't expect Night Sorrow to have such a status in the 9 zones. I've met Senior Dark Spirit Saint and received his legacy. However, I'm not of the dark element or the death element, so I'm not suitable for him. He asked me to find him a successor, and he also hopes that I can go to the Dark Island and pass on his legacy to them, Night Sorrow said. I'm really the successor of the Dark Island. How is my ancestor? Sky Underworld Saint asked excitedly. To be precise, I've seen Senior Dark Spirit Saint twice. He fought against the saint who attacked the 9-domain world back then. Both sides were injured and only a remnant of his soul was left. The second time I saw Senior Dark Spirit Saint, he helped a young man with the death attribute come back to life. His own soul dissipated, but his soul merged with that young man's soul. It can be considered another form of existence in the 9-domain world, Yishan said. Where is that young man? Sky Underworld Saint asked. I'll think about it later. How can you prove that you're the successor of the Dark Island? Night Sorrow asked Sky Underworld Saint. How can I prove it? That's right. If you cultivate the Dark Treasured Book, your right arm will have dark heavenly marks. Although I've cultivated an incomplete book, I still have dark heavenly marks. After speaking, Sky Underworld Saint rolled up his right sleeve and showed it to Yishang. There was a special energy pattern on his arm. Night Sorrow looked at Long Xianqing, and Long Xianqing nodded at Night Sorrow. There are 2 books in the inheritance. One is the Dark Treasured Book, and the other is the Soul Annihilation / Only one person cultivates the Dark Treasured Book, and that person is the successor I found for Senior Dark Spirit Saint. 2 people cultivate the Soul Annihilation / because it was given to me by Senior Dark Spirit Saint. I can't use it too much. Night Sorrow took out the 2 books and gave them to Sky Underworld Saint. The complete Dark Treasured Book. Thank you for giving the Dark Island a new lease on life. As for the Soul Annihilation / it was given to you by Senior Dark Spirit Saint. Thank you for returning it to me. I won't interfere with who you want to teach it to. After looking at the Dark Treasured Book, Sky Underworld Saint didn't put on airs because of his status and cultivation base. Instead, he bowed to Night Sorrow. Senior, there's no need for that. This is what I promised Senior Dark Spirit Saint. It's my duty to fulfill my promise. Night Sorrow returned the bow. You've done what you should do, so there are some things that I should do. The Eastern Xian region, the Northern Sea region, the Qingtian region, and the others all acknowledge you. I also acknowledge you. If you need anything, just shout. The Western Nether region will do the same, said Sky Underworld Saint. Alright, Sky Underworld Saint, let's go. Let's fight first. We'll talk about it when we get back, said Long Xianqing. After that, Long Xianqing and Sky Underworld Saint left. Xia Lanjun followed behind them. The others didn't go because it was useless for them to go. Knight Sorrow clasped his fists to Zhenhai Saint, Nan Qian Saint, and Flying Tiger Saint. I'm sorry that I didn't bring you seniors to the Tidal Palace last time. But I can still go there. If I'm still alive in 10 years, I'll definitely bring you seniors to the Heaven Sealing Palace. Do you think that we'll be unhappy because of that? We're already so old. Of course, we know what a favor is. Zhenhai Saint said with a smile. But it's good to be able to go to the Heaven Sealing Palace in 10 years. Flying Tiger Saint said with a smile. Indeed. Our Nanli region is a special one. He's already been given a title. Knight Sorrow, thank you. If you need anything from the Nanli region, we won't hesitate to do it. Nan Qian Saint made a promise. He had trained Liang Yu to be the leader of the Nanli region. He was very satisfied that Liang Yu had been given a title. Knight Sorrow, I'm a straightforward person. If you give me a chance in 10 years, the demonic beasts in the unbounded desolation will listen to your orders, said Dragon Saint. Senior Dragon Saint, you're too serious. I'm from the 9 realms. I'll do whatever I can for the people of the 9 realms. Knight Sorrow said. Everyone has their reasons to think highly of you. Not to mention your cultivation talent, your spirit is amazing. Dragon Saint gave Knight Sorrow a thumbs up. Chapter 8:17. If Knight Sorrow could complete the 9 regions world, he would become the ruler of the 9 regions world. However, that would require the acknowledgement of the 9 regions world's origin. But Knight Sorrow's own aura and connections were also very important. Everyone was waiting anxiously for the results of the battle between Long Xiansheng and Heavenly Underworld Saint. Just wait, said Southern Heaven Saint. In truth, everyone was still very nervous. That was because this battle between Long Xiansheng and Heavenly Underworld Saint would determine the direction of the war between the 2 worlds. As for spectating, there was no way for them to do so. The other side also had many powerful saints. If the 9 regions world saints went over, the war would erupt. 2 days later, Long Xiansheng, Heavenly Underworld Saint, and Xia Lanjun returned to Eastern Cloud City. The 3 of them didn't have good expressions because the battle hadn't been decided yet. Soon after, everyone knew what was going on. The other party had a peak saint called Xian Wenxiu, who had a high-grade saint artifact. Long Xiansheng could only suppress him, but could not kill him. Heavenly Underworld Saint was on par with the other saint, unless both sides were seriously injured. But we can't kill our way in. How frustrating, said Heavenly Underworld Saint. Why can't we kill our way in, asked Lin Yuandao. The other side said that if we attack their cultivators below the saint realm, they won't fight with us. Even their high-level saints will enter the 9 regions world, said Heavenly Underworld Saint. Because of this, he and Long Xiansheng couldn't kill their way in. Then what do we do, asked Wu Lingfei. They want to sign a saint contract, said Xia Lanjun. Xia Lanjun then told them what the other side wanted. They wanted to use the world's origin to swear an oath to the heavenly Tao, restricting all the saints of the 2 worlds from participating in the war. If a saint leaves, or if the other side intentionally leaves a few saints behind and doesn't sign, won't we be at a disadvantage, asked Knight Sorrow. No, as long as most of the saints use the world's origin to swear, the world's contract will be formed. All the saints have to abide by it, or they'll be killed, said Long Xiansheng. Even if the saints don't participate, we won't be at a disadvantage, said Xia Lanjun. Is everyone going to sign or not, asked Long Xiansheng. What's going on? The 9 regions world belongs to all of us. We haven't even fought yet, but you're already excluding us, said the Flying Tiger Saint gloomily. Even if it's a contract, we saints have already done what we should. Because we have restrained the other party's saints, the question now is whether or not we should sign the saints' agreement. Long Xiansheng said. This is a huge gamble. They don't know the strength of our 9 regions world's venerables, and we don't know their strength either. It's like a blind man against a blind man, said Tianming Saint. Never Never, 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 read a novel, then is there another possibility? Their spies entered our 9-domain world without us noticing and investigated it, said Night Sorrow. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, everyone was stunned because it was highly possible. Grandpa, quickly send someone to tell my father not to break through to the Saint Realm for now. If the saints don't participate, then the existence of an invincible venerable is very important, said Night Sorrow to Yilinghuan. Alright, Lingxie, go back and inform them. If they can't suppress it, then don't disturb them, said Yilinghuan. Is this considered cheating my father? Asked Night Sorrow, rubbing his nose. He felt that he had let his father down. No, your father has to control the complete laws first before breaking through. As long as he doesn't interrupt his breakthrough, it's not a big deal. In any case, he can enter the Saint Realm at any time. It can be considered a consolidation, said Yilinghuan. Let's return to the previous question. Is it possible that the other party has figured out the strength of our 9 regions world's venerables? Asked Wu Lingfei. It's very possible, but we can't determine that. Long Xianqing nodded because no one dared to say that. As long as their commander isn't an idiot, then they'll definitely investigate the strength of the 9 regions world before starting the war. Right now, we might be hiding the Night Moon Dynasty, said Night Sorrow. Sky-slaying saint, what's the situation with the Night Moon Dynasty's venerables? Asked Xia Longjun. Yilinghuan's title was Sky-slaying saint. If my son doesn't break through, then there are 2 invincible venerables, 4 peak venerables, and 5 or 6 advanced venerables. There's no count below that, said Yilinghuan. That's very strong, said Long Xianqing. That was equivalent to the strength of the venerables of the other regions. As long as the peak venerables of the Night Moon Dynasty have enough space energy resources, it is possible for them to become invincible venerables. If we sign the Saint contract, we will use the power of the 9 domains to push the 4 peak venerables of the Night Moon Dynasty into the ranks of invincible venerables, Lin Yuandao said. It seems that the saints can sign the contract. Long Xianqing looked at the group of saints and said. I think so. The Night Moon Dynasty is strong enough. Yi Tian was ferocious back then, and his descendants are also powerful, said Sky Underworld Saint. Then the saints agreed to sign the Saint contract. If they didn't, then the war wouldn't be easy to fight. If they couldn't take down the other side's 2 peak saints, then they wouldn't have a chance at victory. If they wanted a complete victory, they had to restrict the saints of both sides. Signing the Saint contract is also a chance for the Profound Mysteries realm to win. If they can't defeat Long Xianqing and Sky Underworld Saint, they won't be able to break in, said Xia Longjun. Now the juniors will be under pressure. But there's nothing we can do about it. That bastard's high-grade Saint Treasure Heart is disgusting. It's too difficult to kill him, said Long Xianqing. 4 hours later, Yilingxie returned to Eastern Cloud City. Brother Wang, I came back just in time. Wu Yu has already finished comprehending the laws and was preparing to break through his true qi. He's stopped now, said Evil King Ling. That's good. That's like having an invincible saint, said Sky Underworld Saint. I'll have to trouble Prince Wu Yu to wait a bit before entering the Saint Realm, said Xia Longjun. That was a sacrifice. She had to suppress her own accomplishments for the sake of the 9 regions world. After some more discussion, they decided to sign the Saint contract, leaving the war to those below the Saint realm. Night Sorrow felt that it was too early to sign the Saint contract because the 9 regions world saints weren't ready yet. However, Sky Underworld Saint was a bit anxious because the Profound Mysteries realm saints were still on the move. The Western Nether realm was still suffering from the flames of war. Night Sorrow sighed and didn't say anything else. After the saints signed the Saint contract, Night Sorrow didn't have anything to do. He just waited in Eastern Cloud City, thinking about how the war would go. At night, the saints all returned and the Saint contract was signed. Just as everyone was discussing the deployment, news came that the Profound Mysteries Realm's army had already started fighting in the Western Nether realm. Chapter 8:18 Didn't you listen to Night Sorrow? We're at a disadvantage. We haven't deployed our troops yet, and we can't defend against the enemy's attack. Sky Underworld Saint looked at Night Sorrow apologetically. Night Sorrow had said that they signed the contract too early, and the Western Nether region hadn't deployed their defenses yet. Night Sorrow, what do you think? Xia Lanjun looked at Night Sorrow. Seniors, you can make the decision about the war. Night Sorrow is here to fight. Night Sorrow shook his head. It's my fault for not listening to your suggestion. If you have a good suggestion, we'll listen to it. Sky Underworld Saint said. The other saints nodded. They had cultivated for a long time, and they were all powerful in individual battles. However, they hadn't come into contact with a war before. Then I'll tell you what I think. This war can't be decided in a short period of time. So, the loss of one city or one pool isn't important. As long as we win, we can recoup our losses. A local war is all for the sake of the final victory. Night Sorrow said. His words were vague, and he felt that there was no point in defending the Western Nether region now. Don't worry about me. Continue. Sky Underworld Saint understood what Night Sorrow meant. Although it was painful, he also knew that defending the Western Nether region wasn't the best plan. Our 9-domain world was forced into a battle against a prepared enemy. We are at a disadvantage in terms of manpower, resources, and mentality. We should have the Western Nether domain's forces retreat to the 3 origin domain and set up a defensive line in the 3 origin domain's domain C. We will first suppress the enemy in the Western Nether domain. Then, we will gather the Venerables. At that time, whether we continue to defend or press on will be up to us, said Night Sorrow. I have no objections. Long Xianqing said. Then, everyone nodded. This was the safest plan for now. Okay, then we'll retreat first. Sky Underworld Saint sighed. Don't worry, Underworld Saint. As long as we win, the Western Nether region's losses will be recouped, Night Sorrow said to Underworld Saint. That's it then. Heavenly Underworld Saint, you arrange the retreat of the Western Nether region. As for the others, return to the other regions and gather all the mid-level and high-level Venerables. Night Sorrow, do you have anything else to add? Long Xianqing said. Heavenly Underworld Saint nodded and went to arrange this matter. Every force in the 3 origin region, please treat the troops from the Western Nether region well. Do not allow any conflicts or fights. Also, gather some resources. War is a battle of manpower and financial resources, and financial resources are resources, Night Sorrow said. Following this, all of the saints nodded. This was a war between the 9 regions world, so it was only natural for everyone to contribute. No one felt that this was inappropriate. Also, everyone has spatial crystals. Don't hide your spatial resources. If Night Moon's 4 pinnacle saints all reach the invincible venerable level, it might be the key to victory, Xia Lanjun said. Night Moon will also give appropriate compensation. I'll use other resources to exchange, Night Sorrow said. His principle as a person was to have no selfish desires. Even in times of war, he wouldn't take advantage of others. What are you talking about? The 9 regions world's war is the responsibility of every life in the 9 regions. Those who need to contribute will contribute, and those who need to contribute will contribute. There's nothing to say about that. Also, you, as a 4th rank venerable, can fight against high-level venerables. What support do you need? True Ocean Saint asked Night Sorrow. I only need desolate stones. Night Sorrow said. He didn't say anything about exchanging resources. That would easily cause the other saints to scold him. If you need desolate stones, I've obtained a few by chance. Are you sure you can use them? Heavenly Underworld Saint had arranged for the higher-ups in Eastern Cloud City to inform the Western Nether region's people to gather in Eastern Cloud City and retreat. When he returned, he heard Night Sorrow's words. I can use them. Night Sorrow waved his hand, and the power of time in his hand began to revolve. The energy was filled with the changing of the wind and clouds. Then take these desolate stones. Heavenly Underworld Saint tossed 4 desolate stones to Night Sorrow. Latest Chapter 8 on BVI Network. Night Sorrow thought for a moment. There are many people in the Western Nether region. Everyone, help arrange the retreat. I'll set up 2 teleportation formations here. That way, we'll be able to teleport quickly and avoid losses. Alright, let's do that. Heavenly Underworld Saint nodded and tossed 2 teleportation crystals to Night Sorrow. War was cruel. The enemy wouldn't attack civilians, but there were still many cultivators in the Western Nether region. 3 days later, the Western Nether region's cultivators finished retreating. Of course, they had taken all the resources with them. The Profound Mysteries realm had taken over the city, but it was empty. The Western Nether region had enough time to retreat because the Profound Mysteries realm had been cautious and hadn't dared to advance too far. Under the joint efforts of the 9 region saints, the Western Nether region's retreating troops were properly arranged. The other 9 regions' supremacy's elites were also sent to the 3 origin regions' realm C. Night Sorrow was chatting with the members of the God-slaying team when Long Xianxing sent someone to call him to the command tent. Xia Longjun nodded at Night Sorrow and summarized the current deployment. Then, she looked at Night Sorrow and said, "Young master, you've only been in the world for a short time, but you've experienced a lot of war. Tell me your thoughts." As for setting up the defensive line and array formations, these seniors might have thought about it. Then, I'll add 2 more points. The Realm C's coastline seals off the flying cultivators and airships, but it can't seal off the teleportation formations. If the enemy has set up the teleportation formations in advance, then everything we have is just decorations, Night Sorrow said. Yeah, we haven't thought about that. We're just thinking about how to stabilize the defensive line. If the enemy teleports directly, then no matter how stable our defensive line is, it's useless. Xia Longjun's expression changed. In war, we don't just have to think about what we should do. We also have to think about what the enemy will do. If I were the enemy, I would have set up the teleportation formations before the war, Night Sorrow said. Fortunately, you're from the 9 regions, Long Xing said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow asked about the distance between the Western Nether region and the 3 origin regions realm C. Sky Underworld Saint told Night Sorrow that it was 800,000 miles. The teleportation formation can teleport 1 million miles. That means that if there is a teleportation formation, it's within 200,000 miles of us. However, it's very difficult to find it. Night Sorrow rubbed his head. Dragon Sage and I will mobilize the beast army of the 3 origin region and sweep through this area. The rest of you, don't be idle. Go and search. I feel that Night Sorrow is enough to stay here, Flying Tiger Saint said. He was a beast saint and had the ability to control the beasts. Wuji Saint, you stay here with Night Sorrow. The other saints and cultivators below the supremacy realm will go and search for the teleportation formations, Long Xianxing said. The others left, and Night Sorrow returned to his tent. While he was chatting with Night Moon, Xia Longjun came. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and took out the formation diagram of the 3 of them. He handed it to Xia Longjun. Senior Xia, this is the formation diagram. Let the participants practice it. As long as they can use it in battle, they can kill opponents with higher cultivation than them. Xia Longjun took the formation diagram and looked at Night Sorrow. Chapter 8:19. How's the effect? Xia Longjun asked as she held the diagram. Our god-slaying squad is capable of fighting those above our level. This has to do with the fact that we value actual combat ability. However, teamwork is also an important factor. We don't have much time right now, so let's practice this not-so-complicated technique first, Night Sorrow said. Alright, then I'll go find a formation master to carve the diagram and distribute it. Xia Longjun left after saying that. Not bad. Yi Shenxian nodded at Night Sorrow. Look at the chapter. Night Moon's emperor and prince had been here for a while. Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing had also arrived. Tianyu had also arrived with the god-slaying team. What formation diagram? Carve a copy later and distribute it to the family. We'll learn it too, Yi Shenquang said. He wanted Night Moon to gain some benefits. Ha, great-grandpas, there's no problem with carving the diagram for Night Moon's dynasty. I researched it myself, and it's Night Moon's. However, great-grandpas, you don't need to practice it. You're all peak venerables and are on the verge of becoming unrivaled venerables. There's no need for you to learn how to fight against the strong, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Yi Shenquang turned his head away in embarrassment. After that, the Grand Elder and Bei Tiange came to see Night Sorrow. The Sikong family also came to talk to Night Sorrow. As the battle approached, the 9 regions' forces continued to gather. Night Sorrow cultivated his spear technique in the morning, and in the afternoon and night, he cultivated on the 70th floor of the Spacetime Pagoda. One day became 2 days, and the effects were still very strong. Night Sorrow also knew that the battle wouldn't enter the final stage so quickly. The 9 regions' world needed time, and so did the Profound Mysteries realm. 4 days later, a group of saints came back. Among them, Sky Underworld Saint and Dragon Saint each destroyed a transmission formation. Night Sorrow, your judgment is accurate. Otherwise, if we were to just stand guard here like idiots, they would have already blossomed in our midst. Long Xianqing said. Next, we need to take precautions against this, Night Sorrow said. Gather all the high-rank and low-rank monster spirits in the Realm Sea. If venerables fly over from the coastline, we need to be the first to know and kill them. We can't give them a chance to set up teleportation formations. The Dragon Sage has returned to the realm of unbounded desolation and used a teleportation portal to bring all of the high-level exalted-level demonic beasts here. Since the 3 origin domain has been a subordinate domain for many years, there's no major power in the realm of unbounded desolation. Therefore, the strength and numbers of the demonic beasts there are still quite high, the Flying Tiger Sage said. Night Sorrow, do you have any better ideas? Even though we can't fight, there are still some things that we can do. Long Xianqing spoke up. Night Sorrow then expressed his opinion. They could use the battle in the Western Nether Realm to slow down the speed of the Profound Mysteries realm and buy time for the 9 realms. They had already achieved this step, and the 9 realms were not at a disadvantage in a frontal battle. The key was that they couldn't let the enemy sneak in. He hoped that the saints who had nothing to do could go to the coastline and guard against the enemy. Long Xianqing nodded. I have no objections to this, and I'm sure the others won't either. Our saints are just decorations, so we'll leave 2 people behind to support Night Sorrow. The 9 zones also need someone to give orders, so we have to follow orders in battle. That way, our combat strength will increase, said Lin Yuandao. Then, all of the saints turned to look at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow waved his hand. He just wanted to fight. He didn't want to care about other things. You can't refuse. The 9 realms are related to you, and they all acknowledge you. You just have to shoulder it, Long Xianqing said. Night Sorrow shook his head and said, I still plan to cultivate hard and become a high-level saint as soon as possible. Xia Lanjun said, how about this? You just have to study the strategy. I'll arrange 2 assistants for you. I'll also cooperate with you to communicate with people you're not familiar with. Night Sorrow wanted to say something, but Sky Underworld Saint waved his hand and said, this is the responsibility of the 9 realms. We have to shoulder it. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow nodded. This was because many people were looking at him with anticipation in their eyes. Then, the group of saints arranged 2 assistants for Night Sorrow. One was Yi Wuyo, who had become a quasi-saint, and the other was the North Sea region's Taishu. After setting the tone, the saints only left Xia Lanjun and the 2 first-stage saints from Tianji Tower. The others went to the coastline. Xia Lanjun gathered the leaders of the 9 realms in Night Sorrow's tent. Night Sorrow's tent was now the command tent. The Eastern Xian region's representative was Lei Hua. The Taiyue region's representative was also from the Eastern Xian region, Kuan Nan. The North Sea region's representative was the city lord Tai Shu and the invincible saint, Bei Tiange. The Unbounded Desolation region's representative was the Roaring Tiger City's city lord and Qing Mang, who was also from Tianji Tower. Night Sorrow didn't know the Nanli region's representative. It was the city lord of Nanli City, Lu Qin, who was also an invincible saint. The Taiqing region's representative was Yi Wuyo and Yun Tianlong, who was already a half-saint. The Qing Tian region's representative was Sikong Luyun and an invincible saint called Shui Wuling. No one from the Three Origin region came because it had been ruled for many years. The West Nether region's representative was Shi Taiji, the city lord of West Nether City, who had cooperated with the Qing Tian region to attack the Eastern Xian region. The Tianji Tower's representative was Lu Trin Xuan, a half-saint, and Li Changtian, a peak saint. Then Xie Lanjun spoke. Night Sorrow would be in full command of the battle, and Yi Wuyo and Tai Shu would cooperate with him. After hearing Xie Lanjun's words, the leaders of the Nine Realms stood up and cupped their hands. Night Sorrow may have made a mistake, but even if it's a mistake, we still have to carry it out, Xie Lanjun said. You can communicate with me afterward. I'm saying this because I want the people of the Nine Realms to follow orders. No one disagreed, because this was the general situation, and also the general trend. Then I'll say a few words. This is the command tent. When we're formulating tactics, we can voice out our opinions and come up with a perfect strategy. However, once we leave the tent, we have to carry it out, Night Sorrow said. That's good. I'm just worried that if we have different opinions, we can't say anything, Shi Taiji said. That won't happen. We're fighting for the Nine Realms, and victory is our only goal. Anyone can voice out their opinions and suggestions, Night Sorrow said. Then everyone nodded. They were originally worried that Night Sorrow was too young and sharp, and wouldn't listen to them. Now, they felt that there was no problem. Since everyone has nodded, I'll issue the first deployment. All the scarce attribute resources in the Nine Realms King cities will be handed over to City Lord Tai Shu. City Lord Lu Qin will be responsible for recording the bills. In addition, if there are any peak saints who have become invincible venerables in the Nine Realms cities, report any resources they need. Saints can't participate in the battle, so we'll create invincible venerables, Night Sorrow said. Yes. As soon as Night Sorrow finished speaking, everyone cupped their hands and accepted the order. They didn't expect Night Sorrow's first order to be so imposing. Chapter 820. Half a day later, the representatives of the various domains once again returned to Yishang's tent. They had all brought resources with them. Let's start with me. I have life spirit fluid and origin spirit fluid. These are necessary resources for us invincible venerables and peak venerables. The origin spirit fluid can replenish your true chi in an instant, while the life spirit fluid can heal your injuries. Later, Lord Tai Shu and Lord Lu Qin distribute them to everyone. Remember, invincible venerables and peak venerables must have them. Night Sorrow took out 10 bottles of origin spirit fluid and 5 bottles of life spirit fluid. Isn't this a bit too much? Tai Shu asked Night Sorrow. The Nine Regions world is our home. We can't be stingy, Night Sorrow said. Hearing Yishang's words, the group nodded. This was courage, the courage of a person in a high position. Then, everyone handed over their resources, which were basically all kinds of attribute crystals. Then, they counted the resources needed by the peak venerables of the various regions and distributed them. Night Moon Dynasty took all the spatial attribute crystals, but it wasn't an advantage because Night Moon Dynasty had accumulated a lot of other attribute crystals over the years. Night Moon people mainly cultivated spatial attribute crystals, so they didn't consume other attribute crystals this time. Night Sorrow also found a formation master to set up an illusion formation and a killing formation. However, there was another problem, which was that there were no top-grade spirit stones to make the formation base. There were many high-grade spirit stones in the 9 regions world, but top-grade spirit stones were too rare. Night Sorrow took out 100 top-grade spirit stones and gave them to Tianji Tower's formation master, Shang. At this time, everyone looked at Night Sorrow with admiration. 100 top-grade spirit stones might be the entire collection of a large force. The worst thing to do in a war is to be impatient. We have to stabilize ourselves first. Everyone below the invincible venerable realm must cultivate the joint attack formation. Moreover, everyone must be able to adapt to any joint attack position. This way, when their invincible venerables come, our peak venerables can suppress them with numbers, and our invincible venerables can be free to kill their invincible venerables. Night Sorrow ordered the group of people. In the end, Night Sorrow looked at his father, Yi Wuyo. Father, you are now a quasi-sage. Since the other saints are bound by a contract and cannot attack, no one can hurt you. How about you help me gather information? Hee, of course. Father will go over first. Yi Wuyo said with a smile. Max Y at TX above stanza J of new chapter, you can choose 1 or 2 more people. They have to be fast, have strong survival skills, and have no room for improvement in their strength. You can go with them. You can set fires and assassinate people while scouting for information, Night Sorrow said to Yi Wuyo. I can do it. Yun Tianlong stood out and said. I can do it too. Shui Wuling, the invincible venerable from the Qing Tian domain, also stood out. Alright, your mission is very simple. You are to gather information and cause destruction to buy time for us. The key point is to be able to kill and fight. Every time you shoot, change your location. Don't give them a chance to surround you. Our war is not about winning or losing a city or a territory. As long as we are alive, we can win the war. Night Sorrow looked at his father and the other 2 people and said. Yi Wuyo nodded. Yun Tianlong and Shui Wuling also cupped their hands in obeisance. They felt that Night Sorrow's tactics were indeed very unique. Lord Taishu equipped the 3 of them with resources. Fire oil, hidden weapons, powerful poisons. Equip them with everything you can, Night Sorrow said. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, everyone in the tent shivered. This was too ruthless. Not only did they have to kill and set fires, but they also had to equip them with hidden weapons and poisons. This was simply indescribable. Father, seniors, please don't be disgusted. This is war. If we lose the war, our descendants will be trampled on by others. Therefore, all methods are to serve the war. You're just following orders. You're gentlemen. I'll bear the title of a villain. In order to protect my family and friends, I'll do anything, Night Sorrow said. At this time, everyone in the tent once again cupped their hands in obeisance to Night Sorrow. Perhaps before this, I was still unconvinced and just went with the flow. But now, I'm convinced, Shi Taiji said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow, Father understands you. Father cultivates the path of the monarch and can't bear to see people crowing and stealing. But you are doing a great deed. You are a person of the 9 realms and have done something for the 9 realms. No matter what methods you use, you are doing a great deed. Yi Wuyo left the tent. Yun Tianlong smiled and nodded at Night Sorrow before also leaving the tent. Shui Wuling even gave Night Sorrow a thumbs up. Then Tai Shu and Lu Qin also left the tent to equip the 3 of them with resources. In addition, Senior Lei Hua will be in charge of mobilizing people. Those peak venerables with room to grow, go and increase their strength. Those who aren't in seclusion, cultivate a joint attack formation. Senior Sword Sovereign North, you go and gather those who understand formations. Night Sorrow assigned tasks to Hu Leihua and Bei Tiange. Bei Tiange and Leihua cupped their hands in obeisance. Then what should I do? Asked Hu Shao. Qing Mang also stood up. Continue to gather demon beasts and head to the edge of the realm sea. The more, the better, said Night Sorrow. Genius Night Sorrow, I used to think that you were a cultivation genius. I didn't expect your understanding of war to be so good. If it were me, I wouldn't have been able to arrange it so perfectly. Xia Lanjun clapped her hands after hearing Night Sorrow's arrangements. Tianji Tower had left behind a message. Lin Yuandao and Wu Lingfei, who had been listening, also clapped their hands. As long as the seniors feel that there's no problem, said Night Sorrow with a smile. Night Sorrow, when I first met you, you were just a little kid at the 3rd rank. I've watched you grow until now, but I still don't understand why you have so many ideas about war in your head. Wu Lingfei also didn't understand. When Medicine Valley was rising, I was thinking about how to defeat Golden Flame's sect. When Eastern Xian region was attacked by Qingtian region and Western Nether region, I was also thinking about how to win a region war. Later, when I learned about Night Moon, I started thinking about how to maximize the effect of war. The more I thought about it, the more I understood. Night Sorrow smiled. In the future, anyone who meets you in the 9 realms will have to take a detour. No one will fight with you, said Shi Taiji. I hope that the 9 realms won't have any internal wars. If we have the energy, we can fight outside. The 9 realms are strong, and that's our pride, said Night Sorrow. Everyone nodded. They liked Night Sorrow's way of thinking very much. Night Sorrow even felt that this war had come at the right time. It was like training soldiers. The profound Heaven World's future war would be the true crisis. Night Sorrow wasn't worried about the profound Mysteries Realm's attack. Everyone went to work. Night Sorrow told Xia Lanjun that he was going to cultivate. He wanted to consolidate his cultivation base and then eat a dragon spirit pill. That way, he could quickly reach the 6th rank. Night Sorrow was still a bit anxious. His mid-level venerable cultivation base wasn't enough to be of much use in a war. Chapter 821. Some of Night Sorrow's orders were carried out perfectly. Those who defended, those who set up formations, many of them were cultivating the joint attack of formations. At this time, the people of the 9 regions didn't care about regions or powers. They all cultivated together. City Lord Tai Shu, joint attack formations will become the mainstream in the future, said Lu Qin to Tai Shu as she watched the cultivators of the 9 regions cultivate joint attack formations. In the past, joint attack formations were also popular. I don't know when, but they faded out of the line of sight of cultivators. Everyone began to focus on individual strength. Just look at Night Sorrow's God-slaying squad. They're all young, but they're very strong. Back then, with these young people, Night Sorrow was able to slaughter his way through the various dynasties, said Tai Shu. Every generation brings forth new talents. In this generation, no one can compare to him. Lu Qin gave her evaluation of Night Sorrow. He's very good to the people around him. He's ridiculously good. He's ruthless to his enemies. They're 2 extremes. He can't be considered a hero, but he's an ambitious and ruthless person. Tai Shu also gave his evaluation of Night Sorrow. Since ancient times, how many heroes have had good endings? They've all ended in tragedy. As for ambitious and ruthless people, they've always laughed proudly in their era, said Shi Taiji. You should rejoice. Right now, the 9 regions are in chaos. He doesn't want any internal conflicts. If there weren't any external conflicts, he would sooner or later remember the matter of your Western Nether region attacking the Eastern Xian region. The people he's thinking about are all unlucky. The Grand Pure region's dynasties have existed for a long time, but the Jiyu family was still destroyed, said Lu Qin. Cool BZ Song Pi hair. Don't try to scare me. The war between the Western Nether region and the Eastern Xian region is just a realm war. We don't have any grudges against each other. Even if we don't have a war right now, this matter can still be resolved. The Tai Qing region's empires are despicable, and Night Moon is impossible to resolve. Not to mention Ji Yu's family. No man would tolerate having ideas about other people's women. They deserve it. Jiyu Fenglan isn't an idiot, so how could he do such a brainless thing? Actually, Jiyu Fenglan's actions are not incomprehensible. The most outstanding youngsters in the 9 realms are his grandson, Ji Yuhao, and Night Sorrow. He wants to discuss Night Sorrow, so that Night Sorrow's luck will not be good, and so that Night Sorrow's spirit will be covered in dust. It's just that some things deviated too much from his estimations, said the Grand Elder. Lu Qin shook her head. A person can be extreme. They can also do anything to achieve their goals. However, they cannot lose their morals. The following days were very stable. Night Sorrow spent most of his time either cultivating a spatial crack or patrolling the coastline. Long Xianqing sent word that he had discovered another transportation formation. This time, Night Sorrow didn't have Long Xianqing destroy it. Instead, he brought a group of 9 realm sovereigns and saints over. Leave this transportation formation, said Night Sorrow. Why leave it? Asked the Grand Elder. It'll be useful. Yi Shan smiled and nodded at the entropy he had brought. The two of them began to set up a formation. The formation covered a very large area, surrounding the teleportation formation with a radius of 5 kilometers. Entropy didn't have many spirit stones, so Night Sorrow provided them with top-grade spirit stones. He's trying to scam us, said Lu Qin. This is a huge trap. I can already imagine it. When a group of people from the Profound Mysteries realm teleported over and triggered the formation, the teleportation formation would break down and they would be unable to return. Then, they would be unable to call for help, Hu Xiao said. That's too ruthless, said Qing Mang. Half a day passed, and the array was finished. Yi Shang clapped his hands and said, "We're done here. Enforcer Shang, you hide in the illusion array. When they teleport over, crush my communication crystal. When they're done, you detonate the spirit explosion array under the teleportation array." Night Sorrow then created a soul crystal and gave it to Entropy. "Don't worry, young master. I'll definitely complete my mission. This illusion formation and killing formation will definitely kill them," said Entropy excitedly as he held Night Sorrow's crystal. Feeling that there were no problems, Night Sorrow left the region and returned to his tent in the Realm Sea. After drinking a cup of tea, Night Sorrow went to the edge of the Realm Sea to cultivate a spatial crack. He used the chaotic flow of space to stabilize his cultivation base. After cultivating for a while, Night Sorrow felt that his cultivation base was stable enough for him to eat dragon spirit pills. Night Sorrow then created a communication crystal and gave it to Grand Uncle, telling him that he would be in seclusion for a while. If there were any problems, Grand Uncle could crush the crystal. After making the arrangements, Night Sorrow went to see his mother and Night Moon. He also saw the members of the God-slaying squad cultivating. Then, he found a secluded place and entered the Spacetime Pagoda. After chatting with Xueshi for a bit, he entered the 70th floor of the pagoda, ate a dragon spirit pill, and began cultivating. While cultivating his true energy, Night Sorrow held the Desolate Stone in his hand to increase the power of the Myriad Daos Tome. At the same time, his bloodline talent and soul power were steadily increasing. Cultivating the soul doppelganger consumed a lot of Night Sorrow's soul power. However, after replenishing it, he improved by quite a bit. Night Sorrow knew that the strength of a high-level cultivator's soul power was the key to great achievements. If one wanted to become a saint, one's soul power had to be condensed into a divine pearl. With this as the foundation, one's true energy could break through to the saint realm. After 10 days, Night Sorrow's cultivation base reached the peak of 5th level Venerable. The Myriad Daos Tome's cultivation base also reached the peak of 4th level Spirit Refinement realm. As for his bloodline talent, Night Sorrow couldn't increase it in quantity. He could only condense it to make it more stable. After stretching his waist, Night Sorrow returned to the 60th floor of the Spacetime Pagoda. "Your cultivation base is rising really fast. However, you still have to pay attention to your foundation. You can't neglect it just because you're in a hurry. Shui, she reminded Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow smiled and nodded. After drinking a pot of tea, Shui helped Night Sorrow nourish the myriad Daos Tome's energy, true energy, and body. Only then did Night Sorrow leave the spacetime pagoda. After asking the granduncles and Lu Qin, Night Sorrow learned that everything was stable. There was no movement at the moment. The people of the 9 regions world were still increasing their strength. Time is very important. Give us some more time and we'll have even more unrivaled venerables. The other high-level venerables will also be able to control the joint attack formation. Also, has there been any news from my father, Monarch Yun, and Venerable Wu Hen? Night Sorrow asked. No. However, they're all safe. They left their soul beads in the hands of their relatives. There's no problem with their safety, said the granduncles. That's good. I'll have to trouble the granduncles and Uncle Master Lu with some matters, said Night Sorrow. After chatting with the granduncles and Lu Qin for a while, Night Sorrow went to the God-slaying squad's camp to take a look. Then he went to the edge of the realm sea to cultivate a spatial crack and consolidate his cultivation base. Night Sorrow was a bit anxious. His cultivation base was only at the middle level. Once he became a high-level venerable, he would be able to fight peak venerables. Chapter 822. Night Sorrow was very confident in the current situation. So what if the Profound Mysteries realm was strong? If they left the Western Nether region and attacked the 3 Origin region, they would suffer a heavy blow. Yishan Xian and Yishan Lei used 7 days to stabilize their cultivation, and they could break through at any time. Another piece of good news came. 2 more invincible venerables appeared in Yiyu. They were Yishan Xian and Yishan Lei. Their elemental power had reached saturation, and they could continuously use spatial blades. The power of their spatial rend had greatly increased. This was good news for the 9 regions world. In a situation where saints didn't participate in the war, invincible venerables were an important factor in determining the outcome of the war. After all, it wasn't easy to produce a half-saint. Ordinary half-saints didn't have much of an advantage against high-level invincible venerables. The cultivation of the members of the God-slaying team had increased very quickly. Many of them had reached the peak of rank 5. Night Sorrow was very happy with this situation. When Night Sorrow was about to break through, Yi Wuyo and the other 2 returned. Looking at the 3, Night Sorrow knew that they must have brought back good news because Yun Tianlong looked very excited. Then, Night Sorrow learned that Yi Wuyo and the other 2 had attacked many of the enemy's new strongholds and killed many venerables. The results were very significant. One net in addition, Shui Wuling had set up a teleportation formation in a secret place. The people of the 9 regions world could teleport there at any time to start the war. He had learned from the enemy's experience of secretly setting up teleportation formations. We won't engage in a large-scale war for now. They're well prepared. Time isn't important to them, but we're passively fighting. There are many problems that haven't been solved yet. Time is very important, Night Sorrow said. Everyone agreed with Night Sorrow's opinion. In the past half a month, the venerables of the 9 regions world had increased their combat strength. The defensive line was also impregnable. Yi Wuyo and the other 2 also brought back some news. The enemy had many invincible venerables and peak venerables. They had been besieged once. Yi Wuyo had brought up the rear and Yun Tianlong and Shui Wuling had escaped. Following this, Yi Wuyo and the other 2 still intended to fight. They would not let the other party rest. Yi Shan agreed, but he emphasized that safety was the most important thing. They had to ensure that their own safety was not a problem and that they could maximize their gains. Yi Wuyo and the other 2 went to battle again. Night Sorrow went to ask Xia Lanjun if the 9 Realms Saints had found any more teleportation arrays. After receiving a negative answer, Night Sorrow understood that the teleportation portal that they had left behind might be the key to changing the outcome of the war. Night Sorrow found Hua Haining and asked him to prepare a batch of poison and antidote pills. After listening to Night Sorrow's arrangements, Wei Haining was stunned for a moment before nodding his head. He knew that Night Sorrow was planning something big again. Before going into seclusion, Night Sorrow went to see his mother again and talked with Sikong Chuyu and the other two girls. After that, Night Sorrow went into Yu Qing's tent and began his seclusion to break through. After 3 days, Night Sorrow's true qi cultivation had reached the 6th level of the Venerable Realm. His myriad Dao treasured tome had also reached the 5th level of the Spirit Refinement Realm. Yi Shang felt that the myriad Dao treasured tome was indeed powerful. When the myriad Dao treasured tome entered the Spirit Refinement Realm, while cultivating the body's energy, the myriad Dao treasured tome's soul power increased rapidly. The increase in cultivation allowed Night Sorrow's battle prowess to increase by a lot. After that, Night Sorrow began to stabilize his cultivation. The 9 Realms world's formation was very stable. Everyone's battle prowess had increased. As time passed, the 9 Realms world would benefit. Therefore, no one doubted Night Sorrow's decision. West Nether City was now occupied by the Profound Mysteries realm. The upper echelons of the Profound Mysteries realm were stationed in the City Lord's mansion. Holy Maiden, we've investigated many times. The realm sea of the 3 origin field is very stable. It won't be easy for us to sneak in. As for the 3 cultivators from the 9 realms world, they're constantly destroying our newly formed foundation. We need to deal with them. Otherwise, our morale will be shaken, a gray-robed old man said. Saint Xian, the commander of the 9 realms world, is very good at looking at the big picture. Even when the West Nether City is occupied, he can still hold his ground and compete with us patiently. That's amazing. Now, we're in a passive position, the veiled woman said. This woman was the commander of the Profound Mysteries realm's attack on the 9 realms world, Jun Xuanji. She was the Holy Maiden of the Profound Mysteries Pavilion, the strongest faction in the Profound Mysteries realm. The gray-robed old man was the Profound Mysteries Pavilion's Grand Elder, Xian Wenxiu. He also had a high-grade sage artifact. Right now, we still need to hold our ground. After all, we're the ones who have the upper hand. Are they just going to watch us occupy the West Nether City? If they don't take it back, their camp will have different opinions. That will be the time for us to attack, the veiled Jun Xuanji said. Xian Wenxiu nodded. As Xian Wenxiu nodded, the other upper echelons of the Profound Mysteries realm didn't say anything. Xian Wenxiu was the strongest expert in the Profound Mysteries realm. He was the stabilizing force. No one could question his words and decisions. Jun Xuanji was also supported by him. Holy Maiden, how should we deal with those 3 despicable ambushers? They've committed murder and arson. They're unscrupulous in their methods, a man reported. Let them jump. We'll gather our forces in the key areas. Withdraw the forces in the areas that we don't need to pay attention to. The war isn't over yet. Unnecessary occupation is meaningless. They've only discovered 2 of the 3 teleportation formations. The other teleportation formation is our opportunity, Jun Xuanji said as he tapped the armrest of his chair. Following Jun Xuanji's words, the others bowed and accepted the order. Jun Xuanji took out a scroll and tapped it on the table in front of him. Also, why isn't there a spatial attribute Invincible Sovereign's name on the list of 9 domain saints and invincible sovereigns that I have? Holy Maiden, this person's details were determined by me and the Dark Shadow Sect's sect master. However, it could also be a hidden cultivator who has just appeared, explained an old man. Jun Xuanji nodded. Although she was furious, she knew that it wasn't appropriate to continue investigating. It was normal for a hidden expert to appear. If there's a problem with the information, we'll be in a passive position. Originally, we thought that the Profound Mysteries realm would be able to suppress the saints and win the war. But now, 2 peak saints have appeared, and one of them can even contend with Grand Exalted Xian. That forced us to sign a saint contract. If there's a problem with the information on the sovereigns and sovereigns, it'll be troublesome for the Profound Mysteries realm, said Jun Xuanji. After that, Jun Xuanji arranged for 30 sovereigns to be on standby. We're not afraid of them harassing us because this is their territory. If the flames of war erupt in their territory, I don't believe they'll be able to hold their ground. Chapter 823. After arranging for 30 sovereigns to be on standby, Jun Xuanji once more gave the order to gather people from the Profound Mysteries realm. Xuanji, don't feel pressured. It's not your fault that we're in a passive position. 3 years ago, I went to the Nine Regions world. At that time, the Nine Regions world was in chaos. I just didn't think they would be able to work together so quickly, said another elder. He was another peak saint, Shang Luo. Jun Xuanji nodded. According to the information he had obtained, the Profound Mysteries realm was certain to win. But suddenly, many variables had appeared. Now that the coastline has been sealed, we can't gather any more information. Before the battle started, we should have arranged for an ambush in the Nine Regions world, said Jun Xuanji. Other than cultivating, Night Sorrow was also thinking about the variables of this battle. After cultivating once more, Night Sorrow went to the command tent. Do you have any other plans? Asked Lin Yuandao. Yes. I want to know the details of the Saints' agreement, said Night Sorrow. There aren't too many restrictions. It's just that you're not allowed to attack the other side's people or set up formations. In other words, you're not allowed to attack or interfere in the battle, said Xia Longjun. So it's normal to gather information. Right now, our people are sealing off the coastline. If the other side's saints come to gather information, that's also permitted by the rules, said Night Sorrow after thinking for a moment. No. There's also a rule that saints can't enter the other side's territory. If a saint enters the other side's territory and the world source perceives it as an attack, they'll be in trouble. Our Nine Regions world source is incomplete, but it's still easy for us to kill a saint. A few days ago, we went to investigate the teleportation formation. Since it's in our Nine Regions world's territory, it's not considered a war zone, so we dared to do that, said Xia Longjun. So it's like that. I understand, said Night Sorrow. Do you have another idea? Asked Lin Yuandao. I want to know the location and situation of the spatial channel between the Nine Regions world and the Profound Mysteries realm. Right now, we're the ones defending. The flames of war are burning in our Nine Regions world, so no matter how we fight, we'll be at a disadvantage. If we know where the spatial channel is, we can spread the flames of war to the Profound Mysteries realm. Night Sorrow thought. Thought for a moment. Saints, if there's no such thing as an agreement, you're going to let the saints go. That's right. If they're not careful, they send sovereigns and sovereigns will, said Night Sorrow. That's true. We must be cautious. Xia Longjun nodded, and 2. Thus. The S. A moment later, Western Taiji and the other sovereigns arrived. They knew that Night Sorrow's side might make a move again. Western Taiji told Night Sorrow that the war broke out in the Nether Canyon. That was the first battlefield. The Profound Mysteries realm's invasion site was there. We need to stabilize the current situation. After we completely stabilize the situation, we need to win. Sky Underworld Saint, Western Taiji, I'm sorry. The situation in the Western Nether region still needs to be maintained, said Night Sorrow to Sky Underworld Saint and Western Taiji. Night Sorrow, although I'm sad that the Western Nether region has fallen, I can understand the big picture. So, you don't need to apologize. If there's anything wrong, it's my fault. I didn't listen to your advice back then, causing the Western Nether region to be handed over, said Sky Underworld Saint. After we stabilize the situation, what do you think, Night Sorrow? Asked Xia Longjun. Hee. I still won't send people to the spatial passageway because it's destined to be a huge pit. However, I'll go there personally. Night Sorrow stood up and said. Nonsense. You're now the commander of the Nine Regions world. How can you go there personally? Xia Longjun reprimanded him. The others also shook their heads. I've always supported all the decisions you've made during this period of time. This time, it's a little unreliable. Lu Qin said. City Lord Lu, you have your reasons for opposing, but I have my reasons for going. Back then, when I entered the netherworld as a void inquiry stage expert, I was able to survive the encirclement of countless venerable realm nether beasts, but the others couldn't. If I don't go, won't the pit at the spatial passageway kill many of my people? Night Sorrow looked at Lu Qin and said. A general success is built on thousands of bones. It's impossible for there to be no deaths in a war. What you need to be is a general, not a skeleton. As long as we win the war, the deaths of some people are nothing. I can go there. Lu Qin looked at Night Sorrow and said. She was resolutely against it. If I tell you that this world war is just a training exercise in my eyes, would you believe me? Night Sorrow said with a smile. After that, Night Sorrow told them about the great war that happened once every 10,000 years and the war that was about to break out in the netherworld. The 9 regions world is going to enter an era of war. We can't afford to lose people easily. Night Sorrow told them about the great war in the heaven profound world and the situation in the netherworld. The 9 regions saints are actually just materials. Xia Longjun smiled bitterly. I can't do it now. Once I become a high-level exalt, I'll go to the spatial passageway and bring a group of people into the profound mysteries realm. At that time, I'll kill, not just take a beating. I'll beat the profound mysteries realm until they can't enter the 9 regions again. I'll completely crush them in one go, said Yishan. At this moment, no one objected to Night Sorrow's decision anymore. Smiling at everyone, Night Sorrow left the tent and went to his mother's tent. Son, don't tire yourself out. Come and have some tea. Yu Qing poured a cup of tea for Night Sorrow. Mother, how's the effect of that saber? Night Sorrow asked Yu Qing. First V2-inch, it's very suitable. I don't have the strength of a saint, so I can only display the power of a high-grade spirit artifact. In addition, with the help of the dragon spirit pills, I won't be able to reach the peak venerable realm for long. It's only a matter of time before I reach the saint realm. You don't have to worry, Yu Qing said with a smile. Night Sorrow chatted with his mother for a while before returning to the command tent. What other arrangements do you have? The Grand Elder asked Night Sorrow. Here are 50 dragon spirit pills. One pill can raise a venerable's cultivation by 1 level. You can make the arrangements. In a month, I hope that the 9 regions world will have more peak venerables. Night Sorrow took out 2 bottles of dragon spirit pills and threw them to the Grand Elder. Then, he returned to the god-slaying squad side. He also wanted to see how the god-slaying squad was doing. After Night Sorrow left, the Grand Elder looked at Xia Longjun in surprise while holding the bottle of dragon spirit pills. Chapter 824. After arranging things, Night Sorrow drank tea and chatted with Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, and Aoi. They didn't feel much pressure, and they just cultivated diligently. They didn't lack resources. Night Sorrow then went to the edge of the realm sea to cultivate. His true Qi and myriad Dao Tome had just advanced, so they needed time to stabilize. If Night Sorrow was stable, then the 9 realms world would be stable. After all, Night Sorrow was the commander. If he was so confident, then the others would be. After cultivating intensely for half a month, Night Sorrow felt that his cultivation base could continue eating dragon spirit pills and using desolate stones. For cultivators, stabilizing their cultivation base was very difficult. One reason was that they had to spend a lot of time nourishing themselves. The other reason was that they had to fight intensely. Night Sorrow and the other members of the god-slaying squad chose to cultivate intensely. Before entering seclusion, Night Sorrow drew a 4-person formation diagram and gave it to Taishu. Under normal circumstances, Night Sorrow wouldn't go looking for Xia Longjun and the other saints. The main reason was that he didn't want them to be tainted by karma and violate the contract. Taking the diagram, Taishu and Lu Qin found people to draw it and then sent it out. Night Sorrow then went to the Profound Mysteries Realm's secret teleportation formation to take a look. He saw that Entropy was still busy with the formation. Protector Entropy, what are you doing? Night Sorrow took out a jug of wine and shouted at Entropy. I've been messing around with my research recently, and my understanding of formations has improved. Now that I've entered the Grandmaster realm, I've changed my formations again. Let's make them suffer a loss. Let's make them suffer a great loss, said Shang after opening the wine jar and drinking 2 mouthfuls. Ha, that's a good thing. A Grandmaster formation isn't easy to break. If they can't break it in a short time, we'll be able to kill them, said Night Sorrow. Don't worry, young master. Leave this to me, said Entropy confidently. After walking around and leaving some dragon spirit pills for the god-slaying squad, Night Sorrow found a deserted place and entered the space-time pagoda. Night Sorrow, being the commander of the 9 zones is very tiring, but there is nothing you can do about it. Xueshi made a pot of hot tea for Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow smiled at Xueshi. How have you been? How's your cultivation recovering? It's not as fast as before. After all, the spatial storms in the realm sea helped me stabilize my cultivation base. Now, I can only do it slowly, Xueshi said to Night Sorrow. After that, the two of them cultivated together for a while. Night Sorrow gave Xueshi some yang qi, and Xueshi helped Night Sorrow nourish his body, myriad Tao Tome's energy, and true qi. Nodding at the blushing snow dusk, Night Sorrow contacted Little Kong and entered the Space-Time Pagoda's 70th floor. Next, he consumed the Dragon Spirit Pill and began cultivating with the Blood Spirit Tortoise Crystal. Currently, Night Sorrow's body was saturated with elemental energy. He could use the Blood Spirit Turtle Crystal to help him cultivate the Myriad Tao Tome. H, A, C, is 4, and the other 6 were all D, R, and Z versions. Normally speaking, Night Sorrow could only enter the 66th floor of the Spacetime Pagoda. Any higher and he would be injured. However, Night Sorrow's body was so strong that he could ignore this injury. This was also why Little Kong dared to transfer Night Sorrow to the 70th floor. Time slowly passed, and Night Sorrow's cultivation base steadily increased. 20 days passed in the Spacetime Pagoda, which was only 10 days in the outside world. Night Sorrow's cultivation base had reached the peak of the 6th level Venerable Realm. However, the Myriad Tao Tome was slightly weaker, and he had only reached the middle stage. After all, the Blood Spirit Tortoise Crystal's effects were slightly weaker. Night Sorrow, I'll infuse some time energy into you. Try and see if you can absorb it. If you can absorb it, then even if you don't have the Desolate Stone, your body's elemental energy will always be saturated. Little Kong communicated with Night Sorrow, who was about to get up. Night Sorrow nodded and continued to meditate. Soon after, he realized that there was a special kind of energy within the energy that enveloped him. He knew that it was the time energy that Little Kong had mentioned. Circulating the Myriad Tao Tome at full speed, Night Sorrow opened up his body and started to absorb the time energy. Then, he started to refine it. It was a very pure energy. When Night Sorrow was refining the energy, he also refined the gray elemental energy. After refining it, Night Sorrow realized that his power of Desolate's attribute had increased. After cultivating for half a day, Night Sorrow stood up. Little Kong, you're too awesome. I can use the time energy to strengthen the Myriad Tao Tome. However, the consumption is a little high. Activating the time energy above the 70th floor requires 5 high-grade spirit stones a day. However, it shouldn't be a problem for you. Little Kong said. Night Sorrow smiled. Other than the Saint Spirit stones that he couldn't use and wouldn't squander, he still had over 700 top-grade spirit stones. He didn't care about using high-grade spirit stones. After chatting with Xueshi for a while, Night Sorrow casually washed up and left the Spacetime Pagoda. He then went to the command tent. Peak 6th level Venerable. Night Sorrow, your cultivation speed is too fast. Seeing Night Sorrow's cultivation base, the Grand Elder exclaimed in shock. It wasn't just the Grand Elder who was shocked. Lu Qin was also shocked. I ate the dragon spirit pill, so my cultivation base rose a little faster. What's the situation now? Night Sorrow asked the two women. Prince Wu Yu, King Yun, and Venerable Wu Hen haven't returned, so we don't know what's going on in the Profound Mysteries realm. We can only strengthen our cultivators and strengthen the defense line. Also, we've mobilized the demon beasts of the Unbounded Desolation and Qingtian region. They can act as our eyes and ears. Also, the saints are guarding the defense line against the enemy's spies. They won't be able to easily invade, said the Grand Elder. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said, in the future, don't let those saints do too much work. After all, the saint contract isn't a joke. If there's a punishment, it'll be serious. All right, we'll pay attention. The Grand Elder nodded. Then, the Grand Elder told Yi Shang that 3 more invincible supremacies had appeared in the 9 regions world. One of them was Yi Shenquang from the Night Moon Dynasty, Li Changtian from the Extreme Celestial Locale, and Supremacy Yen Yu from the South Li region. Continue to strengthen the high-level combatants and allocate resources. City Lords, please put in some effort. The 9 realms are in a world of chaos. The more experts we have, the greater our chances of surviving this calamity. Night Sorrow stood in front of the tent, looking out at the realm sea. Night Sorrow spent the rest of the time cultivating by the realm sea. 2 days later, Yi Wuyo, Xue Wushuang, and Xue Wushuang returned. Their battle robes were stained with blood. It was obvious that they had gone through a great battle. Father, King Yun, Venerable Wu Hen, you weren't injured, right? Night Sorrow asked the 3 of them. We weren't injured. We were ambushed and trapped in the enemy's formation. They sent peak venerables and venerables to surround us. If your father hadn't been able to tear open space and take us away, we wouldn't have been able to return. Xue Wuling cupped his hands toward Yi Wuyo. At the last moment, he and Yun Tianlong's lives had been saved by Yi Wuyo. They're starting to be ruthless. Don't go there for now, said Night Sorrow with narrowed eyes. Shang, it's useless to go there now. They've realized that the Western Nether region's territory has become a burden, so they stopped occupying it. Instead, they've gathered their forces in the Western Nether region and Eastern Cloud City. Even if we want to ambush and harass them, it won't be effective, said Yi Wuyo. Yes. Their commander has some brains. That's interesting. Night Sorrow looked at Luhua Haining. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.